Good evening, everyone. Today we have in current affairs 5 topics to cover, 4 topics to cover. चारों मेंस के टॉपिक हैं. एक तो we'll be covering cyclones. अभी recently cyclones have been in news a lot. So we'll not just be covering the basic aspect of cyclone, but we'll see what are all the questions UPSC has asked in the past, and we'll try to handle all of them. Then in GS2 we are going to cover 2 topics. Both are associated with judiciary. One is the issues associated with collegium. They have been in news recently, and another issue will be the how we hold judges accountable currently. What are the challenges there? Because abhi kya hua tha? A Karnataka High Court judge had made some comment about some part of Bangalore being in Pakistan or something like that. So a lot of articles came on how judges are held accountable, what are various mechanisms, and what are the challenges, issues associated with them there. So in GS2, these are the 2 things that we'll be dealing with. In GS3, we're dealing with one topic of science and technology, again for mains, which is primarily about how stem cells have been used for treating. Recently, for the first time, what has happened is stem cells has been used for treating type 1 diabetes. So pehle we'll study stem cells and their applications and the challenges there, because UPSC in the past have also asked questions just on stem cells, and then we'll go on how stem cells were used for treatment of type 1 diabetes and what are its implications for India. Okay, so over the next 2 hours, these are the 5 topics that we would be covering. Cyclone ka ek topic nahi, you will see at least 5-6 different subtopics are there. Why are there more cyclones in Bay of Bengal and not in Arabian Sea? वो वाला comparison हमें करना है. Why, like how cyclones are named, or IMD ka categorization, what is the need of that categorization? All these kind of things which have been asked would be taken care of. तो cyclone वाला topic थोड़ा बड़ा लग रहा होगा, but if you will come here, you will see that UPSC का geography में one of the favorite topics has been this. Like this year, they had asked the question, what is sea surface temperature rise? How does this affect formation of tropical cyclone? It was in the mains examination this year. Then in 2022, they had asked, discuss the meaning of color coding weather warning of cyclone prone areas given by IMD. IMD का color coding mechanism को explain करो. That is what they had asked. So we'll talk about IMD mechanism also, and the international mechanism, international standards which are followed. Then tropical cyclones are largely confined to South China Sea, Bay of Bengal and Gulf of Mexico. Why? This was asked in 2014. After this lecture, after this topic, we should be in a position to answer this question also very comfortably. And then in 2013, जब syllabus change का पहला year था, in 2013 they asked, recent cyclone on the coast of India was called Fri-Sun. How are the tropical cyclones named across the world? This was another. So you will see in last 10 years, 11 years, since 2013 when the syllabus change had occurred, how many questions on cyclones have been asked? 4 already. This is how important this topic is, how relevant this topic is, and we will finish it once and for all. We'll be in a position to answer all the questions. I have given some other practice questions also. Why is east coast of India more prone to tropical cyclones compared to west coast of India? That is in general more prone. ऐसा नहीं है कि west coast में cyclone नहीं आते. Why is it more prone? We should be able to give those reasons also. And one general question. So what are the conditions which are required for formation of tropical cyclones? Because rest of the answers will come from here. Why some region is more prone? Because वहाँ पे conditions which are required for formation of cyclones are better, right? Why do cyclones occur in some parts of the world? Because we'll see in those parts of the world the conditions which are required for formation of cyclone do exist. Okay, ये सारी चीजें हमें पढ़नी है, but please understand, when we finish this topic, it will not be just these questions we'll be able to answer. I've tried to cover everything, like cyclone season in India. India में cyclone season 2 parts में divided रहता है, pre-monsoon and post-monsoon. We'll understand reason for it. Rest of the world में that's not the case. Rest of the world में cyclone season is one season, but in India it is divided into 2 seasons. Those aspects also have to be dealt with. Okay, so let us start with this topic. First of all, when we get a question on cyclone in examination, in mains examination, when we get a question on cyclone, how do we introduce that question? Again, it will depend on in what circumstances have that question been asked? If the question is about if in recent times there have been some major cyclone event, we can give the recent context and introduce our answer. But in worst case हमारे पास एक definition तो prepared रहना ही चाहिए कि जब कुछ भी नहीं आ पा रहा तो we should be defining, we should be able to talk about cyclones. क्या हो गया? Power cut. Is it working? लाइव चल रहा है? अच्छा, बस पावर कट क्लासरूम का होता है, इंटरनेट भी चल रहा है. परफेक्ट. ये कब से हो गया? पावर कट के बाद भी सब सही चल रहा है यहाँ पे. ये तुमने कमाल कर दिया. जनरेटर ऑन करने में कितना टाइम लगेगा? 1 मिनट लगेगा, बाकी सब चल रहा है. नाइस, नो ब्रेक इन क्लास. वेरी गुड. कुछ तो डेवलपमेंट्स हो रहे हैं लेवल अप आईएएस में भी, है ना. ये अंधेरे में क्या करने लगे हो सन्नी तरुण? है नहीं, तुम अंधेरे में पहले तो पीछे बैठ गए थे ना, नालायक आदमी. चलो लेट्स कम बैक. तो फर्स्ट व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग वाज हमारे पास एक डेफिनेशन तो प्रिपेयर्ड रहना चाहिए. इफ अ क्वेश्चन ऑन ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन, वी कैन गिव सम कॉन्टेक्स्ट, वी कैन गिव सम डेटा, context based introduction, data based introduction, but एक definition based introduction should always be ready. So what is tropical cyclone? It's a violent storm system. Very simple term में, it's a violent storm system, but violent storm systems can be of there are many other things which can be violent storm system. तो यहाँ पे it will not be complete. It's a violent storm system which is characterized by low pressure center. If you have seen a cyclone, cyclone के बीच में there will be low pressure. For those of you who haven't studied cyclone in the past, we will study all those details too. But in your definition, it's a violent storm system which is characterized by a low pressure center, strong winds that spiral inwards, and heavy rainfall. This will be a good enough definition. Now, cyclones is कुछ और aspect भी, but before that, in preliminary examination they may ask you this kind of thing. तो ये एक मैंने prelims का box अलग से बना दिया है कि cyclones are named, tropical cyclones are named differently in different regions of the world. For example, in Indian Ocean region they are called cyclones, but in Atlantic Ocean they are called hurricane. अभी recently एक दो दिन पहले एक major hurricane आया US में. What was it called? Hilton. What was that cyclone? अभी 10th और 11th को US में hit किया उसने. It was Milton only. Yes, so there it is called hurricane. Then in West Pacific or South China Sea it is called typhoon, and in West Australia it is called willy willies. Okay, but ये सारे different नाम हैं. Now basic definition of cyclones we are comfortable with. Let us understand a bit about how cyclones are formed. थोड़ा सा ये static वाला portion before I jump on to individual topics. Why cyclones originate in particular areas, and थोड़ा सा basics जो आप सबने geography में पढ़ा होगा, पढ़ा है तो I can skip it. Do you understand how cyclones are formed? All those things. All of you are comfortable. Why are you not comfortable? अच्छा, तुमने अभी geography पढ़ा ही नहीं है foundation batches में. Okay. चलो तो let me briefly explain how cyclones are formed. देखो, these are the conditions which are required for the cyclone formation. With the help of these conditions, we'll also understand how cyclones are formed. देखो, for cyclones to occur, first prerequisite is you should have a large, still and warm ocean. Ocean का एक बहुत बड़ा area, large area, which is at a temperature, sea surface temperature, where sea surface temperature is around 26.5 degrees Celsius or more for a considerable depth. One thing that is needed is, so you will not see tropical cyclones occurring in temperate regions. Tropical cyclone will occur in tropical regions or warmer ocean wale region, but not in the entire region. We'll understand this is only one of the prerequisites. The one thing that you need for cyclones to occur is what? Large, still and warm ocean where temperature is, sea surface temperature is of around 26.5 degrees Celsius, and not only at the surface but up to a depth of 50 meters. So warm water is there. This warm water should be able to evaporate easily. And large area इसलिए बोल रहे हैं क्योंकि sufficient amount, more amount of warm water should be there. Okay, then there should be a pre-existing weak low pressure area. Now what is low pressure area? Low pressure area is any area where pressure is lower than the surrounding regions. So what would happen? Wind from surrounding region will be coming to this low pressure area. So what you should have is one condition is warm, large ocean surface. Second condition is a low pressure area. Now what happens at low pressure area is wind from all the side will be converging at this low pressure area. Do we get it? Second point. Then the third key aspect is presence of Coriolis force. Now to explain you the presence of Coriolis force, let's first understand that when the wind is converging, in low pressure area, what happens is when you only for you, बाकी सबने तो geography पढ़ा हुआ है, तो only for you, when wind is moving in northern hemisphere, it turn towards its right. That is because of Coriolis force. So when wind will be converging here in the low pressure area, it will not be actually moving straight, it will be moving to its right. ऊपर से आ रहा है, right? This one will also be going to its right. This one will also be going to its right, and this one will also be going to its right. So what you see is a circulation beginning here. Okay, so pre-existing low pressure area, or you'll see a pre-existing weak low pressure area or a low level cyclonic circulation should already exist for a big cyclone to form. पहला condition क्या था? Large, still and warm ocean. Second, pre-existing weak low pressure area. So that this beginning of the cyclone formation could be there. Third condition is presence of Coriolis force. Coriolis force is 0 at equator, and it keeps on. देखो, it is Coriolis force which is leading to what? Northern hemisphere में when wind is moving, it's moving to its right. What is the force which is making it go to its right? It is the Coriolis force. So if Coriolis force is not there, that circular pattern will not be getting created, right? So it should be third condition is that there should be presence of Coriolis force. It means you should be away from equator. Equator पे कभी क्या नहीं होगा? Cyclone formation नहीं होगा. So it should be यहाँ पे, here you will see a distance of at least 500 km from equator. Otherwise, ocean would have been warmest near equator. First two conditions could have been satisfied at equator, but the third condition will not be satisfied at the equator. Then small variation in vertical wind speed, or what we are trying to say is vertical wind speed. I'll bring you to an image. This is the cyclone. Here, this is the vertical part. Vertically, wind should not be varying a lot. That is, नीचे wind is moving at 5 km per hour. Here wind is moving at 20 km per hour. Here wind is moving at 30 km per hour. This should not be happening. Vertical variation in wind speed should not be there. Why? देखो, if vertical variation would be there, will this vertical part not be broken? It will be broken. So therefore, little variation in. Let's come back to our key point. Small variation, little variation in vertical wind speed, or no variation in vertical wind speed. If there is a lot of variation, low wind shear, that is, there is not too much change in the wind direction and strength at different level. If it would be there, then the stable cyclone will not be created, this vertical component will not be created. Then upper divergence above sea level. This is another key thing which would be required. That is, what would happen is, what we are trying to say here is, let me make a cyclone for you. ये अपना cyclone बन रहा था. This was the beginning. More and more wind with moisture. With what? Water vapor will come in, will start circulating. And the circulating will keep on moving upwards. When it moves upwards, what happens is, water vapor ऊपर जाएगा, it will cool down. Water vapor will condense and become water droplet. But in the process, what happens? In the process, it gives up energy. That energy will intensify the cyclone further, and everything is moving upwards. But in the upper part, there should be a divergence. Only then this cloud will be spread throughout the region, and that is the point being discussed here. अपर डाइवर्जेंस अबव सी लेवल. तो साइक्लोन का वर्टिकल कंपोनेंट and everything is moving upwards, and in the upper part there should be divergence. So upper divergence above the sea level. So if this upper divergence doesn't exist, cyclone formation will not be possible, or it will not be maintained for a long period. And then if ITCZ is away from the equator, the tropical cyclone is intensified because of warm air masses converging at ITCZ. So देखो ITCZ is what? Intertropical convergence zone where low pressure system रहेगा. If it is away from it, if it is on equator, Coriolis force will be 0. Cyclone will not be formed. But if it is away from equator, Coriolis force would also be there, and low pressure convergence would also occur. Intertropical convergence zones, यहाँ पे cyclone formation would be more effective. Okay, these are the conditions required for what? These are the conditions required for formation of tropical cyclones. आपसे पूछा जाए what are the conditions required for tropical cyclone? Warm, large sea surface, first thing. Second, low pressure, presence of low pressure. Third, presence of Coriolis force. Fourth, absence of variation in vertical wind speed, so that shear is not there. A lot of shear is not there, which will break the system, right? And then these general aspect, upper divergence above the sea level system. If upper divergence is not there, the structure will not be stable. And finally, if ITCZ is away from equator, that's good for us, where the convergence will take place. Are we clear about it? These are the conditions which are required for formation of cyclone. So whenever a question is asked, कि यार, why do more cyclones form in Bay of Bengal and not in Arabian Sea? We will see which of these conditions are more probable in Bay of Bengal and less probable in Arabian Sea. हम अभी एक PYQ आया था कि why in this parts of the world cyclones are not formed. We'll try to understand that by, yeah, these are the conditions required for formation of cyclones. These are the conditions required for formation of, इनमें से what will not be possible in those parts. And based on that, we'll be able to say why in those parts of the world cyclones cannot be formed. है ना? Are we getting it? Are we understanding it? तो आशिक नाम है ना आपका, इसका नाम आशिक, मैंने कल भी शायद आपको बताया था. तो I will not be able to go in more detail here because what did I tell you? I need 4 things you should be knowing it: basics of history, geography, polity, economy, and ethics. ये सारी चीजें आपको आनी चाहिए. Other than that, everything will take care of in the current affairs program. I can take an entire class and explaining how cyclones are formed and what are the key components, but then what will he do in GS Foundation? Then what is the point of doing basics at your own? This is a current affairs class, will not be able to go in more depth. But क्या हमसे अगर पूछा जाएगा what are the conditions required for the formation of cyclone, will we simply be able to write it? And in our head will we also be able to think यार ये condition क्यों required है, वो भी सोच पाओगे? Okay. अब प्रोसेस ऑफ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ साइक्लोन, आई थिंक आई एक्सप्लेन्ड यू कि पहले क्या होगा, वार्म ओशन सरफेस होगा, लो प्रेशर सेंटर विल बी क्रिएटेड, विंड्स फ्रॉम सराउंडिंग रीजन आर अट्रैक्टेड टुवर्ड्स दिस रीजन, and because of Coriolis force they will be circulating while they'll rise up. While rising up, they release the latent heat which act as energy for tropical cyclone. How does it get intensified? It gets intensified from the energy that it is getting from the condensation. Various stages in the formation of tropical cyclone. Tropical cyclone का stage will be decided by how fast it is moving. Initially, the wind speed will be lesser. So at that time, it is called tropical depression when the beginning is happening. Then, as the wind speed goes above 62 km per hour, it is called tropical storm. As it goes below above 119 km per hour, it's called cyclone. And when the wind speed is above 320 km per hour, it's called super cyclone. Okay. Now यहाँ पे वो स्ट्रक्चर समझा रखा है आपको कि इसका 3D image, this is something that I've taken from NCERT, this is something that I've just taken from internet. So wind converged, this vertically things moved, cloud formation occurred. This is the outflow where cloud would be moving, rainfall would occur, but in the eye there is no cloud. In the eye there will be no rainfall. In fact, जो wind ऊपर जा रहा है, after going up it will converge through here. So because of friction and all, in this region there will be no cloud formation. In this region this warm air will prevent any cloud formation and clear skies would be seen. But when cyclones move, this part of the cyclone will be reaching you. You will see a lot of rainfall. But when you reach the eye, you will see the climatic condition to be stable. आपको लगेगा बारिश का मौसम चला गया और बारिश का कंडीशन चला गया, because there is no cloud also. But then as the cyclone move ahead, this part of the rain band will be reaching you and you will see rainfall again. Okay, कुछ और details मैंने यहाँ पे दी हैं, but as I told you, these are part of the basics. एक बार आप खुद से read करेंगे. In case you are not able to understand, I will explain it to you. I want to focus more on the main topics जो mains examination में आए हैं, not on the basic aspect. First is why tropical cyclones don't originate on western coast of South America, Africa and Australia. Australia का western coast, Africa का western coast, South America का western coast. Why don't they originate there? Western coast. You will see on the western coast of all these continents, there is cold ocean current coming from the South Pole. ये cold ocean current would lead to what? Keeping the sea surface temperature cooler. So cold ocean currents don't let shifting of ITCZ here and warm air does not converge here. Do we understand? हमने ocean currents पढ़े हैं. फिर से लाइट गई आगे. हमने ocean currents पढ़े हैं. Ocean currents, if you have studied ocean currents, you will know various ocean currents. Cold currents come from the Tropic of Capricorn के नीचे वाले region से to on the west side of the continent. Africa में भी, South America में भी, and even on the west coast of Australia. This cold ocean current will bring what? Cold water. It will reduce the temperature. It will not let low pressure system get created. This is the reason you will see on the western side of Africa deserts वाला situation रहता है, because वहां पे low pressure नहीं बन पा रहा, तो clouds would not be reaching there, would be getting formed there, rainfall के scopes कम रहेंगे. So one question, will we be able to answer this? Will we all be able to comfortably answer this? Now, how are cyclones originating in Indian Ocean named? This was another question that was asked in the examination. How do naming take place? तो देखो, cyclones in Atlantic region were named in the past also. ये क्यों भूत की तरह भटक रहे हैं, आगे पीछे आगे पीछे? एसी नहीं चाहिए तो ऑन किसने करवाया? अभी उन्होंने आके ऑन किया ना, आप में से किसी ने ऑन करवाया होगा. चलिए आ जाते हैं यहाँ पे. Let's not get diverted. How are cyclones named? This was a question that was asked in 2013 या 14 mains examination. Indian Ocean region में cyclones were not named before 2000. Before the year 2000, cyclone naming did not occur. Cyclone naming used to happen in the Atlantic system. Okay, but मैं आपको पहले briefly समझा दूंगा, then we'll go through the notes. But cyclone naming started after 2000 in the Indian Ocean region also. How the names were done? Naming was done. First, 8 countries came together. They gave 8 names each. So there were 64 names given by the 8 countries of this region. And whenever a cyclone in the North Indian Ocean originated, if it was identified, it was in sequence given one of the names. That name came from Sri Lanka, that name came from Bangladesh, that name came from India. It did not matter. सबका नाम sequence में use करना है. Then you will see recently those 64 names were exhausted. Those 64 names which were there, they were exhausted. Eventually all 64 names were used in 2020. So WMO, United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific panel of countries in April 2020 gave more names. Basically, now 13 countries came together and they gave 13 names each. So there are 169 names and these names will be used in sequence. पहले इस country का एक नाम, फिर इस country का एक नाम, फिर इस country का एक नाम. So whenever a cyclone would come, you will see sometimes cyclone called Onil. Onil is basically Anil in Bengali. Bangladesh has given that name. समझ में आ रही है बात? तो how cyclones are named? Are we getting it? Are we understanding it? पहले 8 countries came together, they gave 64 names. Once those 64 names got exhausted, this time 13 countries of the region came together and gave 13 names each, total 169 names. Now let's study it, how these 8 countries came together, under which organization these 8 countries came together, under which organization are these 169 countries coming together. पहले broadly did we understand how naming occurs? If we are asked a question कि यार naming कैसे हो रही है, why this kind of name? Will we be able to answer that? Okay. हाँ, तो as I said कि पहले cyclones were not named in this region. In other parts of the world, it was named. Currently, worldwide, cyclones occur in 9 different regions: North Atlantic, Eastern North Pacific, Central North Pacific, Western North Pacific, North Indian Ocean, and it is the North Indian Ocean cyclone which impact South Asia, which impact us. Southwestern Indian Ocean, Australia, South Pacific and South Atlantic. These are the 9 regions of the world where what occurs? Cyclones occur. The system of naming of cyclone was finalized at a meeting of World Meteorological Organization. तो हमने बोला ना, these 8 countries come together. How did they decide that this is how we'll name cyclone? It was finalized by WMO in their meeting, WMO and the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific in 2000. These 2 organizations together decided how naming should occur in the North Indian Ocean region, and first cyclone was named in 2004. 8 North Indian Ocean countries, us time initially 8 countries had participated: Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Maldives and Oman, who used to get affected by cyclones. They gave 8 names each and total 64 names were in sequence used. Got it? When these names were exhausted in 2020, these names were exhausted. New set of names came into play. This time 13 countries came together: Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka. You will see UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, which were not part of the older 8 names. Because they are also getting impacted by cyclone, they also decided to be part of this panel. They gave 13 names each, 169 names. Those are the names which are being used right now. तो पूछा ये था हमसे, how are cyclones named? Will we be able to answer it? Now, why are they named? For ease of communication. Saying that the cyclone which originated here and impacted this part in this month is difficult. Whereas bolna Hurricane Katrina, everyone would know which hurricane are we talking about. Tropical cyclone Onil, everyone would know which cyclone are we talking about. So why name a cyclone? Because for ease of communication, remembering cyclones or discussing their impact or warning people about them becomes easier with a name. Giving a name to a cyclone makes it easier to spread the word also. For this reason, cyclones are named. Okay, got it? Why cyclones are named? Achha, there are online doubts also. Just let me go through it. Where is the lecture 1? इसे lecture 1 मान लो, फिर lecture 2 मान के कल वाले को देख लेना. There we have mostly discussed Nobel Prize. Hi sir, big fan of your style of teaching. ठीक है. How many free lectures will be there in current affairs? Free lecture तो एक भी नहीं है. These are demo lectures. What I try to do is every month एक lecture out of 8 to 10 lectures we take. Every month 1 lecture I take on YouTube. That helps me reach more people. Okay, so this is not a free initiative. Current affairs program at LevelUp IAS so far is not a free initiative. In future, as our revenue from other sources improve, we may make it free, but abhi ke liye it's not a free initiative. Okay, let's go to the next topic. How are cyclones classified? एक IMD कैसे cyclone को कलर कोडिंग कर रहा है, इस पे क्वेश्चन आ गया, यूपीएससी ने पूछ लिया 2022 में. In general, we'll understand how cyclones are classified. We'll also briefly look at how IMD is giving color coding and what is the meaning of those things. Do we get it? क्या पढ़ने जा रहे हैं? साइक्लोन्स का क्लासिफिकेशन कैसे होगा? देखो, द मोस्ट स्टैंडर्ड क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ साइक्लोन, द मोस्ट स्टैंडर्ड मेथड ऑफ साइक्लोन क्लासिफिकेशन इज द Saffir-Simpson हरिकेन विंड स्केल, SS हरिकेन विंड स्केल या SS स्केल, Saffir-Simpson wind scale or SS wind scale. It was given in 1970s and it categorizes cyclones on the basis of wind speed at a height of 10 meter, not at the ground level, not at much higher level, at a height of 10 meter. What is the wind speed of the cyclone? Higher the wind speed, more damage it may cause, and based on that it categorizes cyclones in category 1 to category 5. Just जो category 5 वाला cyclone है, if its wind a cyclone will be considered of category 5 if its wind speed is more than 252 km per hour. And at this speed, the combined effect of wind, storm surge and rainfall in the category 5 impact would completely range any structure. It will be very destructive. That is what they are trying to say. But at that time, it was considered to be something humongous. कि यार इतना बड़ा cyclone आ गया, we do not have to create another category. But recently, down to earth में एक detailed article आया था where they said कि we need to revise this system. Because now cyclones are becoming more and more intense. UPSC ने मेंस में पूछा कि वो क्यों intense हो रहे हैं. यहाँ पे हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, they are becoming more and more intense and thus above 250 km everything is category 5. But they say that एक और category बना दो. Because above 252 km number of cyclones are increasing and among them there should be a bigger category, category 6. So this is just a suggestion. This categorization may not be enough anymore. With global warming, rise in sea surface temperature, cyclones are becoming more and more intense. Long term data indicate that frequency of intense tropical cyclone is going to go up. In fact, it is said that an increase in wind speed of 12% is observed in the strongest cyclone, which correspond to 40% increase in the destructive potential whenever temperature rise by 1 degree. So, for every degree of warming, wind speed increases by around 12% and increase in the destructive potential increase by 40%. And because of climate change, temperature is rising, so wind speed is going to increase by 12% and this thing, rainfall and the damages would also increase, and thus we need another category. That is what they are suggesting. So, scientists therefore are suggesting a hypothetical modification of the SS wind scale to tie category 5 to peak wind speed between 250 to 309 and any cyclone above 309 km per hour, जिसका wind speed will be above 309 km per hour should be included in category 6. ये अभी न्यूज में था, कुछ दिनों पहले ही this issue was in news. तो देखो, UPSC has asked this portion, cyclone color coding of IMD. अभी उस पे आते हैं, but because this is in news, they may ask you, what is SS hurricane system for cyclone categorization? How should it be changed to take into consideration the increased intensity of cyclones occurring in recent years? This kind of question may come. तो उसके लिए पहले आपको SS system पता होना चाहिए. Now let's come to IMD's color coding of cyclone. Why what is the meaning of these color coding and why this color coding is done? We'll talk about this. Bakulal is saying this institute does not take regular classes and they do not teach in comprehensive manner at all. Please think twice before paying. Okay. Bakulal, कौन से institution से हो तुम? नहीं, आप लोग जो जून बैच वाले बच्चे हैं, क्या आपका हर वीक 2 क्लासेस नहीं हुआ है ना? जब नहीं हो पाया, एक आधा वीक नहीं हो पाया तो ट्रेजेडी की वजह से आफ्टर फॉर दैट आई टेक एक्स्ट्रा क्लासेस. ये पढ़ाई नहीं होगा मुझसे कभी. और नॉट टीचिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव, मेरे अगेंस्ट कंप्लेन क्या होता है? ज्यादा पढ़ाते हैं. कभी कंप्लेन ये रहा ही नहीं कि कम पढ़ाते हैं. कहां से आए हो बे? नहीं, मैं आपको ऑनेस्टली बता रहा हूं. What I am doing is I am reducing my content every year. मैंने मेंस का कंटेंट मोस्टली क्वेश्चन आंसर फॉर्मेट में कर दिया है. आई एम रिड्यूसिंग इट बिकॉज कंप्लेन अगेंस्ट मी इज व्हाट, ज्यादा पढ़ाते हैं. तो ये कुछ तो गड़बड़ है ना, रॉन्ग नंबर. अब क्यों दूसरे इंस्टीट्यूशन का नाम खराब कर रहे हो, बोल रहे हो वाजीराम में पढ़ता है हम, है ना, तो क्यों करना है ये सब यार, मत करो. नहीं, अगर इफ आई एम नॉट गुड दो, अब तो मेरी क्लास क्यों देख रहे हो, है ना. देखो, वी आर वन इंस्टीट्यूशन हु डू नॉट डिपेंड अ लॉट ऑन मार्केटिंग, वी आर वन इंस्टीट्यूशन हु डू नॉट जस्ट क्रिएट फेक मार्केटिंग बाय इंटरव्यू वाले बच्चों के प्रमोशन करा के. आपने जितने भी लिस्ट में नाम देखे होंगे बाहर, all those students were part of LevelUp's foundation courses or mains program. None of those students are part of only interview program. ठीक है, तो ये सब धांधली नहीं करते, जो भी हो, ठीक है, मत करो ये सब ड्रामा. चलिए, तो निकलो, जो भी हो, बाकी इंस्टीट्यूशन के जो आए हुए हो, जो भी कर रहे हो, निकलो यहां से. साइक्लोन कलर कोडिंग बाय आईएमडी. अब देखो, मैं एक चीज समझाता हूं आपको, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली पढ़ाना. क्या आपने जीएस फाउंडेशन में साइक्लोन में इतने सारे डायमेंशंस पढ़े थे जितने मैं पढ़ा रहा हूं? आप किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन में पढ़े होगे, आपने नहीं किया होगा. दिस इज द कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवनेस दैट आई एम प्रोवाइडिंग, है ना. कोई ये कंप्लेन कर ही नहीं सकता. कंप्लेन विल ऑलवेज बी रिड्यूस करो, एंड आई एम वर्किंग ऑन इट, आई एम रिड्यूसिंग इट. लास्ट ईयर मुझे बच्चों ने बोला, सर आपने इंटरनेशनल बॉडीज का कंटेंट बहुत कम कर दिया. मैंने बोला, बेटा मैंने एनालाइज किया, वो ज्यादातर क्वेश्चन, ये रिपोर्ट किसने पब्लिश किया है, तो उसकी रिपोर्ट की डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. पहले मैं रिपोर्ट के बारे में भी एक एक पैराग्राफ बता देता था, बट उसमें जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो आई एम रिड्यूसिंग द कंटेंट. हेल्थ वाले बुकलेट में आई एम रिड्यूसिंग द कंटेंट. ओके, तो चलिए इसे जाने देते हैं. लेट्स कम टू साइक्लोन कलर कोडिंग बाय आईएमडी. साइक्लोन, हाउ डज आईएमडी डू कलर कोडिंग एंड व्हाट आर इट्स implications? Let us understand that, or what is the meaning of those color coding. देखो, purpose of IMD's color coding is something similar to air quality index. अब air quality index में if you were told this much of particulate matter 10 is there, this much of particulate matter, this much of SO2 is there, this much of CO2 is there, all these things would have led to what? A lot of confusion. Rather than that, air quality index में आपको क्या बोल दिया जाता है? Air quality good है, moderate है, severe है, and that gives people a clear understanding of what are the things we have to look for. What are the things we have to look for? Right? That is the purpose of IMD's color coding of any cyclone. When a cyclone is coded green, all is well, no adverse weather condition is expected. Situation अच्छा है. Second, when it is coded yellow, it asks the guards to be updated to handle bad weather that can last for days with a warning of affecting daily activities. But who is asked? Authorities are asked कि कुछ bad weather condition हो सकता है, but not. Citizens are not worried a lot in this circumstance. Then we have orange. Be prepared. In this situation, communication channels, roads may be flooded, your telephone lines, all those things may be disconnected. वो situation may occur here. And then red, danger. It is the highest level of warning that notifies the authorities to take action. This is the case in which there is a threat to life with worst weather condition. So, for example, in December 2023, during the cyclone Michaung, red alert was issued in 10 districts of Chennai, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. Red alert meaning life may be threatened. Cyclone may do this kind of destruction. So, color coding and their meaning. IMD does it for the purpose of making in general people understand the situation rather than giving इतनी speed का cyclone है. अब because I do not observe cyclone every day, so I do not know 200 km/h का cyclone के मतलब का what would be meant by that. Got it? Sorry? Indian Meteorological Department जो IMD weather predict करता है ना, monsoon predict करता है इंडिया में, वो वाला. Let's go to 2 cyclone seasons in India. देखो, अब cyclones के लिए condition क्या चाहिए? Cyclone के लिए warm sea surface temperature, that is one condition. Away from, existence of low pressure, वाला away from equator, vertical wind speed में बहुत variation नहीं होना चाहिए, but at the time of monsoon there is a lot of variation in this wind speed. तो during monsoon जो ये period होता है ना, जून जुलाई अगस्त वाला period, because of this variation in the wind speed or wind direction, all these things remain. कभी बहुत तेज बारिश हो रही है, in those circumstances cyclones are not formed. When are cyclones formed in India? Before monsoon period, after monsoon period. तो इंडिया में दो periods रहेंगे cyclone formation के, before monsoon, after monsoon, not during the monsoon. तो the topic 2 cyclone seasons in India. Warm condition develops over North Indian Ocean for long period, but during monsoon, strong monsoon wind varies in strength and direction from the surface to the middle of the atmosphere. And this तो क्या नहीं हो पाया यहाँ पे? Which condition was not fulfilled during monsoon? Low variation in the wind speed, vertical wind speed. यहाँ पे there will be a lot of variation, and thus during monsoon cyclones would not be formed. Please understand, now you may say, sir, अभी तो अगस्त में cyclone आया था. There may be exception, but in general, cyclones will not be formed. Cyclones will not be formed. क्या हो रहा है ये? Sir, I've seen your lectures. They are great. Currently, I'm preparing for PCS. Okay, sir, when the video. हाँ यार, मैं ना आज के क्लास में ही करने वाला था, मैं कल कर देता हूँ. वो जो नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस वाला वो ना, आई एम नॉट गेटिंग टाइम, प्रिपरेशन क्लासेस उन सब की वजह से आई एम नॉट गेटिंग टाइम, एंड आई डोंट वांट एनीवन एल्स टू डू दैट. आई विल डू दैट कि क्वेश्चंस का ओवरलैप वाला जो इट हैज बीन डिमांडेड अ लॉट. प्री के बाद से लोग डिमांड कर रहे हैं, तो मैं प्री वाला भी बना नहीं पाया हूं, तो पहले अभी मेंस वाला बना देंगे, फिर आई विल फाइंड टाइम नेक्स्ट वीक करके प्री वाला बना देंगे. चलिए, लेट्स कम बैक टू आर वी क्लियर अबाउट व्हाई मॉनसून के टाइम साइक्लोन नहीं आएगा? ओके. Note, all other cyclogenesis regions have a single cyclone season during the year, but in case of India, in case of monsoon kind of climate, there are two different seasons. Now come to this topic. Arabian Sea experiences much lesser cyclone when compared to Bay of Bengal. Why? Arabian Sea has much lesser cyclones when compared to Bay of Bengal. Let me open the map. हम दोनों का अरेबियन सी और बे ऑफ बंगाल का स्ट्रक्चर समझेंगे, एंड देन विल ट्राई टू आंसर व्हाई अरेबियन सी रिसीव्स लेस नंबर ऑफ साइक्लोन एंड बे ऑफ बंगाल हैज मच हायर नंबर ऑफ साइक्लोन. Bay of Bengal has much higher number of cyclones. Arabian Sea has lower number of cyclones. When compared to Bay of Bengal, this is something that we have to answer. Okay, let us go one by one. One thing that we need is warm sea surface temperature. है ना? Now we are saying is Bay of Bengal will have warmer sea surface temperature when compared to Arabian Sea. तभी तो यहाँ पे ज़्यादा rainfall होगा. Oh sorry, ज़्यादा cyclones होंगे. One condition for cyclone is sea surface temperature should be high. Now why would Bay of Bengal have higher sea surface temperature? That is something that we have to answer. Why would Bay of Bengal have higher sea surface temperature? One reason is Bay of Bengal receives much more amount of water from rivers. So you will say कि sir river से water तो glacial water should be cooler. No, it doesn't work like that. River water is lighter when compared to ocean water. Ocean में salt है, जो river से water आएगा fresh water होगा, that will be lighter. So in generally what happens, it forms a layer on the top surface. It doesn't mean that आप जाके glass से उठा के पी लोगे ocean के water को. No. Generally fresh water for sometimes would be forming a top layer. It will not be getting mixed with the lower water easily, and as it gets warmed, it remains on the top. So the ocean which receives more water will have more water on the surface, which is not easily getting mixed with the other water because it is lighter, and thus it would remain warmer for longer period. One reason why Bay of Bengal is warmer or Bay of Bengal, sorry. One reason why Bay of Bengal is warmer, that it receives more fresh water from rivers, and this fresh water forms this thing, layer, creating the situation. Are we getting it? क्या ये बात समझ में आई आपको? More fresh water, फिर से समझो. Ocean, dense water, it has more salt. Fresh water creates a layer, and this layer is not getting mixed with the bottom water easily. Eventually it will get mixed, and this layer is getting warm, getting absorbing heat, getting warm. So surface temperature is higher. Here they do not receive a lot of water from rivers, and thus it will be cooler when compared to the surface temperature here. Then another is Bay of Bengal has weaker currents and lesser upwelling. जैसे Arabian Sea में will have a Somali current along the coast of Africa. That kind of current doesn't exist in Bay of Bengal, and thus upwelling cooler water coming on the top is also lesser. Third, Bay of Bengal is located in lower altitude. Here, what reason is being given is this. देखो, Bay of Bengal का most of the water is here. In case of Arabian Sea, this top layer is further away from top equator, and thus the average sunlight got by Bay of Bengal is more than the average sunlight got by Arabian Sea, because Arabian Sea में ऊपर वाला portion भी है. Do we get it? Do we understand it? Latitudinal difference. Altitude का मैंने altitude लिखा है क्या? कहाँ? वो hangover में लिख दिया होगा, कहाँ है? Latitude होना चाहिए. Thus receiving more average. हाँ, latitude होना चाहिए. I'm sorry. It should be latitude. Yes. It should be latitude. Then Bay of Bengal receives weaker winds and clouds during the pre-monsoon period when compared to Arabian Sea, and Bay of Bengal is surrounded by landmass more effectively, and because of this the cold water from rest of the ocean do not mix as fast in it as it happens in Arabian Sea. For these reasons, Bay of Bengal is what? Warmer than Arabian Sea. Bay of Bengal is surrounded more effectively by land, so it is receiving water from the southern ocean, but not as much as Arabian Sea is able to receive, and thus when it is getting hot, when it is getting warm, it remains warm for much longer period, creating the conditions needed for high sea surface temperature. Do we get it? Do we understand it? Okay. Then wind shear in Arabian Sea is higher. Wind shear was a negative thing, it should be low. In Arabian Sea, it's higher. The wind that Arabian Sea receives is much higher. That also becomes a factor. So during post-monsoon season, the northeast monsoon and dry continental air ends up cooling during the post-monsoon season or during the northeast monsoon season. Northeast monsoon season में Arabian Sea will receive wind from where? From the landmass. It will be receiving cooler wind from the landmass, which will cool it. That is not the case with Bay of Bengal, northeast monsoon, the wind which is coming on the Bay of Bengal, and it doesn't cool it that much. Thus the cooler temperature, stronger wind shear and relatively low convective activity in Arabian Sea does what? It reduces the scope of cyclones getting formed in Arabian Sea. Do we understand this? Okay. Now these are some recent cyclones which affected India. One of them is important. You will say कि sir अभी आपने बोला monsoon period में cyclones are not formed and cyclone Asna affected us during monsoon. August September में it was tropical cyclone that affected Gujarat, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh state of India in August September 2024. It caused widespread flooding in Gujarat, Sindh, and it had also caused many deaths. Why are we covering cyclones? News में था इसलिए cover कर रहे हैं. We're covering it because in current affairs program we'll cover something when it was in news. Up August 10 September beginning में this cyclone is there, but note how rare it is. This is the first North Indian Ocean cyclone in August since 1981. North Indian Ocean में cyclones generally do not occur during monsoon period. Cyclone do not occur during monsoon period. Exceptional exceptions हो सकते हैं. This Ashna was one such exception. Do we understand this? First. Second, this is the first North Indian Ocean cyclone. It was born. This is the first cyclonic storm in the Arabian Sea in August since 1976. North Indian Ocean में this is first since 1981. 1981 में cyclone कहाँ आया था? Bay of Bengal में आया था. Arabian Sea में तो 1976. None of us were born. In August, a cyclone had originated in Arabian Sea at this time. This is how rare cyclones during monsoon is, because we understand India में monsoon period में India में cyclones के cyclone season is divided into two parts. Monsoon period में cyclone नहीं होगा. First, why Ashna is significant? Are we getting it? Ashna kind of situation doesn't exist, doesn't come every year. It has come almost after 40 years, 50 years. 1976 के बाद Arabian Sea में आया है. 1981 के बाद यहाँ आया तो almost after 40 years, more than 40 years, North Indian Ocean में cyclones came in monsoon period. Now, Ashna is also important for other important reason. It was born from the transition of a strong land-borne depression onto the warm Arabian Sea. Now, what is this first line? Here, the low pressure system was originated on land, and then it moved on the Arabian Sea. And now you will say, ki, sir, how is it possible? Cyclone ka source of energy is the water vapor getting condensed. Cyclone ka, that is the source of energy. Then how the cyclone system was land borne and then it transitioned onto the warm Arabian Ocean? Because it fed on moisture of the moist soil in the rainy season. During monsoon, soil was moist, land pe, so it had moisture there. It was land borne because it fed on the moisture of the rainy season, moisture of the soil. So it's a very exceptional kind of cyclone. Ashna is a very exceptional kind of cyclone, very unique kind of cyclone. Do we understand this? Are we clear about it? Okay. Cyclone Michaung. अब Michaung क्या था? Michaung is, it originated as a low pressure area in the Gulf of Thailand. It caused very heavy rainfall in Chennai and southeastern Andhra Pradesh in December 2023. So it was a cyclone जो post monsoon period में India को impact किया, North Indian Ocean में originate हुआ and impacted Chennai, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and some parts of Odisha also. So this had created urban flood again in Chennai. इस वजह से we had studied urban floods, those kind of things. So this was one such cyclone. Got it? Understood? Ayush is saying, sir, I am enrolled in CA 2025 offline batch. When I can get your appointment, need to discuss few things. Class के बाद मिल लो. कहाँ हो आयुष? यहीं बैठे हो क्या? ऑफलाइन है, यहाँ लिखा है ऑफलाइन. तो आज क्लास के बाद मिल लो, या फिर देखो मंडे ट्यूसडे वेडनेसडे आई हैव क्लासेस टिल 9 PM. तो इफ यू लिव इन ORN करोल बाग यहीं पे कहीं रहते हो तो 9 बजे आके मंडे ट्यूसडे वेडनेसडे भी मिल सकते हो, नहीं तो फिर थर्सडे को 5 बजे, फ्राइडे को 5 बजे, या फिर सैटरडे संडे राइट आफ्टर द क्लास. सैटरडे संडे वी हैव क्लासेस फ्रॉम 5 to 8 PM. तो at 8 PM we'll be able to meet. Why are tropical cyclones becoming more dangerous? Why are tropical cyclone becoming more intense? ऐसा लग रहा है जम गया पूरा है, ऐसे जम के आए हो क्या? ये कौन सा एसी है जो इतना ठंडा कर रहा है? कौन सी कंपनी का है? जनरल. अच्छे एसी होते लगता है यार. बंद कर दो यार. सोनू जी, मेरे बच्चे जम रहे हैं. वो देखो यहाँ आके स्वेटशर्ट डाल रहे हैं, वहीं डाल लेना था. बंद ना करे. हाँ करवा देना, नहीं करवाए. चलिए, why are tropical cyclones becoming more dangerous? देखो, tropical cyclones will become more dangerous, more energetic if they are able to get more source of energy. उनका source of energy क्या था? Water vapor. Water vapor condense होके जो heat release कर रहा है, energy release कर रहा है, that is the source of energy, and they'll receive more water vapor if sea surface temperature is higher. Sea surface temperature would be higher if there is more global warming. Global warming में आपको पता है atmosphere is getting warmed, but most of that extra energy or extra heat is absorbed by what? Ocean. तो सारा most of the heat, the extra heat that we are generating is getting, or that we are trapping, is getting absorbed by ocean. तो oceans का water is getting warmer. If it gets warmer, it will become vapor easily. If it gets warmer, low pressure situation will be created easily, and because of this, our tropical cyclones are becoming more and more intense, more and more dangerous. That is why in the SS classification system, one recommendation is create a category 6 also, because with increasing temperature, cyclones ka speed is going to get higher. Okay. What is then the way forward? What are the key things that we should keep in mind? अब ये disaster management में क्वेश्चन आ जाता है, ये तो here I am not writing the way forward from the perspective of disaster management. In general, in geography, if a question on cyclone comes and वहाँ पे way forward का requirement है कि how do we remain better prepared for with cyclones, what are the key things that we can suggest. But before I go into way forward, do we have clarity on all other aspects of cyclones? In which region it will originate, in which region it will. अब आपसे पूछ लिया जाए ना कि why do cyclones don't occur in this region? कोई भी region हो, think of that region and the conditions which are needed, and find what are the conditions which are not fulfilled there. आपको एकदम ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैंसर के ऊपर, ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैप्रिकॉर्न के नीचे वाला जगह बोल दें, अब बोलो शायद सी सरफेस टेम्परेचर विल नॉट बी very high. That can be one of the reasons, है ना. A place which is very high pressure, तो low pressure situation is not getting created. जैसे cold ocean currents जहाँ से जा रहे हैं, तो find reasons and write those reasons rather than cramming पूरे अर्थ पे what are the different places, and for every place you will cram reason for why cyclones occur there, why cyclones don't occur there. Understand the main factors behind occurring of cyclone, and then identify which of those factors are not applicable somewhere. Okay. Now, what is the way forward? Way forward mein first thing that we are saying is we have to be prepared for stronger cyclones. Climate change is occurring. So whatever steps we are taking, keep in mind that cyclones are going to become more intense. We may be creating coastal infrastructure which can sustain a particular stage of cyclone. Make it stronger to deal with more intense cyclone. So, with climate change, be prepared for stronger cyclone. That's one thing. Second, ensure that coastal regulation zones are getting implemented more effectively. Coastal regulation zone rules are getting implemented more effectively. You will see. हमने CRZ rules I think June batch वाले बच्चों में पढ़ा है. CRZ rules में there are restrictions on developments in coastal areas, and if those rules are followed effectively, what would happen? It would ensure that coastal areas are not getting unnecessarily overpopulated, which will make them more vulnerable to this kind of the increasing cyclone system. Then dwelling of rural coastal inhabitants must be strengthened. Increase green cover. It has been seen that those areas where mangrove cover is higher, the negative impact of cyclones are lower there. So we need to increase green cover, which like mangroves, which act as natural shield and improve resilience of the coastal areas. Forecasting should continue to improve. Why do forecasting need to improve? First of all, forecasting gives us more time. Better forecasting gives us more time. Better forecasting can tell us whether what is the path this cyclone will take. Better forecasting can tell us what intensity of the cyclone, what will be the intensity of the cyclone, and thus do we need to evacuate people, or do we just need to give them suggestion, close everything, remain inside your homes. So to deal, we cannot prevent cyclones from occurring. ऐसा तो नहीं कर सकते ना जहाँ पे सी सरफेस टेम्परेचर लो है वहां पे जाके ठंडा पानी डाल रहे हैं, ये तो नहीं कर सकते है ना. We cannot prevent cyclones from occurring, but if we can predict it way more in advance, we can prevent the damages that it may cause. So there should also be focus on maximizing skill of the forecast of cyclone as cyclone intensifies, lifespan, speed and track. So basically forecasting cyclones intensity, cyclones life, cyclone speed and the path that it will take, which are the areas going to get affected. All those things need to improve. India's academic climate community should build teams to work with IMD to advance understanding of cyclone processes and to improve cyclone prediction. Generally in this kind of situation, what I also add is कि we can improve all these things with the latest technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning. ये सब हमें whatever methods we use, उसमें if we integrate these latest technology, our prediction can enhance, our prediction can improve, and this improved prediction can help us give more time to deal with cyclones. Okay, so starting from how will we define cyclone? Now this was not one question. Here we have tried to include all the questions, and that is why ये 1 page या 2 page में topic नहीं है. Generally you will see most of the topics I'll try to give in 1 page and 2 page if it's a small one, but here I had to deal with multiple questions, so it's a big topic. But I hope now when you look at the questions, जो शुरू में 5-6 questions दिए, you'll be able to answer all of them. And my hope is also this, if in next year's exam a question on cyclone comes, you'll also be able to answer that. Got it? Cyclones में हम सब comfortable है. Let's now go to GS2. GS2 में we'll deal with 2 judiciary related topic. One is the topic of appointment of judges and associated issue. Abhi September end में what happened? Supreme Court has asked government why so many recommendations made by Supreme Court for appointment as for appointment of various High Court judges to Supreme Court have been pending with the government. Why government has delayed it so much? There are some recommendations which government has delayed for many years now. तो उस पे Supreme Court had asked a question. After that, many articles came कि why collegium system also has certain limitations, certain issues, certain problems, or what is the overall issue in the appointment process. So we'll understand the overall appointment process, the challenges there, and what should be the way forward. And then we'll go to the other issue. How do we hold judges accountable? Disha is asking, sir, what is the difference between June batch and October batch current affairs? Will PMP also be included here? अरे नहीं, there is no difference. Current affairs batch, कुछ बच्चों ने जून में मेरे साथ पढ़ना शुरू कर दिया था, कुछ बच्चे अक्टूबर में शुरू कर रहे हैं. But there is no difference. You will be given, you will be taught all the same things. Which, देखो मैंने क्या बोला? I told you yesterday, any current affairs, whether it happened in May, April, or last year, if it is relevant for your exam, we will cover it in class. For October batch also and for June batch also. Don't worry about it. Okay, उसकी टेंशन मत लो. वो तो just for some students have already taught certain things जो October batch में future में अलग से पढ़ाया जाएगा. तो that is why refer करते time I sometimes refer you to as different batches, but there is no difference as such. Okay, let's come to judiciary वाला topic. How does appointment or how do appointments take place in judiciary, in higher judiciary? Supreme Court और High Court में judges कैसे appoint होते हैं? How do judges get appointed in Supreme Court and High Court? What does Constitution say? Constitution under Article 124 Clause 2. Under Article 124 Clause 2. What does Constitution say? Constitution says that judges will be appointed by President. You will see every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal. After the President will consult with judges of Supreme Court, and in case judges of Supreme Court and High Court, and in case of appointment of judges other than Chief Justice of India, he would definitely consult with Chief Justice of India also. So what has Constitution originally said, or even today, what does Constitution say? Constitution under Article 124 Clause 2 says that judges of Supreme Court would be appointed by President after consulting with judges of Supreme Court and High Court, those judges of Supreme Court and High Court which he feels necessary, but consultation with Chief Justice of India is compulsory in case the question is about appointing a judge other than Chief Justice of India. Got it? This is what Constitution says. Article 217, which is about High Court, says that same process would be used for High Court also. Every judge of a High Court shall be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal, but after consultation with, अब High Court का जज है तो यहाँ पे तो Chief Justice of India, the Governor of the state, and in case of appointment of a judge other than the Chief Justice of High Court. So how would High Court judges be appointed? High Court judges would also be appointed by President, but President would consult whom before appointment? Chief Justice of India, Governor of the state, and Chief Justice of High Court in case Chief Justice of High Court is not getting appointed. In case Chief Justice of High Court is not getting appointed. This is what Constitution has said. President appoint करेगा judges को after consulting judges of Supreme Court or High Court as necessary. Got it? Now, what was the idea behind this method? Idea was to check politically motivated appointment. देखो, ऐसे तो President himself could have appointed, but those appointments would have been politically motivated. Those appointments would have been more political, but here consultation with judges of Supreme Court leads to what? It brings some neutrality. B.R. Ambedkar but had in Constituent Assembly clearly said, CA means Constituent Assembly. B.R. Ambedkar in Constituent Assembly had clearly said that consultation did not mean veto. That is, when President is consulting with the judges of Supreme Court or judges of Chief Justice of India, that does not mean veto. कि जो Chief Justice of India बोलेगा वही होगा या जो बाकी judges of the Supreme Court बोलेंगे वही होगा. It does not mean veto. It was said in the Constituent Assembly also. Now, in India, the interpretation of Article 124 Clause 2 has changed over the years, and thus we have two phases, or the process of appointment of judges can be divided into two phases, till 1993 and after 1993. Till 1993, हमने ये बोला है ना कि Constitution said that President will be consulting judges of Supreme Court. Consultation did not mean concurrence. Till 1993, President opinion was superior. But after 1993, whose opinion has become superior? Judges or collegium's opinion. They created the concept of collegium, and collegium's appointment has become superior. So we divide the process of appointment of judges of higher judiciary, High Court and Supreme Court in India, into two phases. In the first phase, 1950 to 1993, it was a executive-led appointment process. It was an executive-led appointment process. In this phase, it was not mandatory for President to follow the recommendation of the Chief Justice of India and other judges. President was supposed to consult, but consultation did not mean concurrence. This method was, but this thing was criticized. Law Commission of India in its 14th report has raised an issue कि if President's viewpoint is given priority, then politically motivated appointment can still happen and judicial independence may get affected. It may lead to erosion of the judicial independence. This was perhaps the first time when this thing was questioned. The process of appointment of judges was questioned in India. By Law Commission of India, it was questioned. Phase of collegium mode appointment. After 1993, how is judge getting appointed? The judge is getting appointed by the collegium. ये क्या हो रहा है? Noise मतलब वीडियो में भी जा रहा है क्या? वीडियो में नहीं जा रहा ना? बहुत ज़्यादा ठंडा लग रहा है, उनका एसी बंद कर दो. वीडियो में जा रहा है क्या आवाज? सॉरी, क्या हो रहा है, हो क्या रहा है? तो किस चीज की, किसी की शादी है क्या है? तुम दोबारा तो नहीं कर रहे? अभी हुई है तुम्हारी 2 महीने पहले? हाँ, अभी अभी 2 महीने पहले शादी, पता लगे दोबारा कर रहा है। क्या चल रहा है ये? ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स प्लीज एक बार ना कमेंट्स में बताइए, आपको डिस्टरबेंस तो नहीं हो रहा है? एम आई एबल टू, ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स एक बार कमेंट में बताइए। चौबे जी सिंह हेलो सर, प्लीज रिप्लाई बिग फैन। ओके चौबे जी, आई एम बिग फैन। चौबे जी तो, तरुण चौबे तो तुम हो ना? है? ये चौबे जी कौन है? कि कोई ऑनलाइन बच्चा कमेंट क्यों नहीं कर रहा? गाइस ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स प्लीज एक बार कमेंट में बोल दीजिए, सम साउंड इज कमिंग। पर चल सकता है ना क्लास? अब किसी की शादी तो नहीं रुकवा सकता मैं। कोई खिड़की विड़की खुल रखी है क्या? चलिए लेट्स कंटिन्यू। So we have two phases in which appointment took place. In the first phase, what happened? President-led appointment or executive-led appointment. After 1993, we had collegium or judiciary-led appointment. How did this process come into existence? How did this process come into existence? आवाज नहीं आ रही? यहीं पे आके रोक दिया है। मेरी बारात आ रही है क्या? ये मेन रोड पे कैसे चल रहा है सब? अब तो कल था ना दशहरा, दूसरा फंक्शन है चर्च का फंक्शन। चर्च का कौन सा फंक्शन होता है? अच्छा, दीक्षा शर्मा पूछ रही सर दिसंबर में आपकी शादी है? शायद हो जाए, देखते हैं। हाँ नाइस, है ना? चलिए लेट्स कंटिन्यू। तो हाउ डिड दिस सिस्टम कम इनटू प्ले? हाउ कोलिजियम सिस्टम come into play? So first of all, what is collegium system? We should be able to define it. It's a system of appointment of judges in higher judiciary in India. This collegium system was created by judiciary or by judgment of Supreme Court, and it doesn't have constitutional or statutory backing. In this system, Chief Justice of India along with senior most judges of the Supreme Court takes primary role in the appointment of judges in the Supreme Court and High Court and transfer of High Court judges. This is collegium system. Now, how did the collegium system come into play? So there are different Supreme Court judgments. जैसे there was Shankles and Seth case in 1977. When a question was raised, President is consulting judges of Supreme Court. Is that consultation mandatory, or consultation is mandatory, but does President have to follow those recommendations? So in Sankalsan case, they said, the Supreme Court itself said consultation can never mean concurrence. Consultation का मतलब ही है you are consulting. Later in first judges case, SP Gupta versus Union of India, also the same judgment was repeated. Consultation did not mean concurrence. President will consult the judges of the Supreme Court, but it does not mean concurrence. But then second judges case में in 1993, when what would happen? The transition would happen. Pehle it was primarily executive led appointment. After 1993 second judges case, what would happen? Judiciary led appointment will come into play in second judges case by a very thin majority. You will see 5:4 का majority था. They said consultation really meant concurrence, and President will be appointing judges of the Supreme Court and High Court in consultation, nahi, in concurrence. They said, the Supreme Court interpreted the word consultation as concurrence, and they also said CGI's view enjoys primacy since she is best equipped to know and assess the worth of candidate. But the CJI was supposed to formulate the opinion. CJI से consultation is compulsory, and consultation will mean concurrence because CJI is in better position to know the people who are getting promoted. But CJI will form opinion after, or will form his opinion through a body of senior most judges that was described as collegium. The collegium system came into play in 1993. यहाँ पे collegium system was defined as Chief Justice of India along with senior most judges. Through them they will form an opinion and they will give that opinion to president, and president has to concur. President को सिर्फ consult नहीं करना, president, here they said consultation means concurrence. Got it? So executive can ask collegium for reconsideration. When collegium gives some recommendation, executive can ask collegium for reconsideration, but once the same recommendation is repeated, executive has to, or the president has to follow it. President has to follow it. Then came third judge's case. Acha, second judge's case mein one more thing happened. Ek to how judges will be appointed in the Supreme Court, they said it will be through collegium, but they also said that the tradition of appointing senior most judge of the Supreme Court as Chief Justice of India will also continue. It reiterated the convention of appointment of senior most judges of Supreme Court as Chief Justice of India. So 1993 के बाद से it is always the senior most judge who will become the Chief Justice of India. This convention will be followed. So how Chief Justice of India will be getting appointed? Senior most judge. And how other judges would be appointed? President will appoint them in consultation with collegium, and consultation means concurrence. It was through the second judge's case. Then came the third judge's case. Third judge's case was not actually a case reaching there, but government ने एक presidential reference डाला था कि यार collegium, देखो in second judge's case it was said that collegium is Supreme Court with senior most judges. But how many senior most judges? All those things were not very well defined. Here they brought clarity on that also. It held that collegium shall consist of CJI and her 4 senior most judges. In case of appointment to Supreme Court, and collegium will consist of CJI and 2 senior most judges in case of appointment to the High Court. Collegium का meaning क्या है? It was clarified in the third judge's case. In second judge's case, what was said? Chief Justice of India along with senior most judges. But in the third judge's case, they cleared it. They said collegium would mean Chief Justice of India along with 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court in case when the appointments are being made for Supreme Court. And collegium would mean Chief Justice of India along with 2 senior most judges of the Supreme Court when appointments are being made for High Court. But they also said in case of appointment of High Court, collegium will also consult such other senior judges serving in the Supreme Court who had previously served as judge of the High Court. So basically what they are saying in this point is, let's say I am considering promotion of some judge from Bombay High Court to Supreme Court. I am considering promotion of this collegium is considering promotion of some judge of Bombay High Court to Supreme Court. So who will be taking the decision? Chief Justice of India along with 4 senior most judges. But let's say एक और judge है Supreme Court में who came from Bombay High Court in the past. उससे भी consult करना है. What is it saying? Additionally, for appointment to the High Courts, the collegium must consult such other senior judges serving in the Supreme Court who had previously served as judge of the High Court concerned. Got it? समझ में आई बात? तो अगर आपको बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट में कुछ अपॉइंटमेंट करना है तो collegium 2 senior most judges, Chief Justice of India 2 senior most judges. This is the collegium, but you will also consult a judge in the Supreme Court who may have come from Bombay High Court. But this consultation does not mean concurrence. यहाँ पे consultation does not mean concurrence. Got it? This was third judge's case. Then came the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. What happened in the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act? A new constitutional body was created, National Judicial Appointment Commission. This National Judicial Appointment Commission was a constitutional body which was supposed to replace collegium in the appointment and transfer process, appointment of judges of Supreme Court and High Court and transfer of judges of the High Court. This NJAC was supposed to consist of Chief Justice of India, two other senior judges of Supreme Court next to Chief Justice of India, and Law Minister plus 2 eminent persons. The total 6 people would be there in the NJAC, and they will be taking a call on how appointment should be done, or who will be appointed, who will be transferred. All those decisions will be taken by NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission, which was created through 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. It was a constitutional body. It was supposed to be a constitutional body, but then came 4th judge's case in 2015. In this case, Supreme Court declared NJAC as unconstitutional. It said National Judicial Appointment Commission जो बना है, it is violating basic structure of the Constitution. As they argued, primacy of collegium was part of the Constitution's basic structure. Collegium के बारे में लिखा भी नहीं है Constitution में, but Supreme Court said primacy of the Constitution is part of the basic structure, and this power could not therefore be removed even through a constitutional amendment. They held that NJAC would lead to violation of independence of judiciary, and thus NJAC was declared unconstitutional. Though this judgment was criticized also, world over judiciary is not the sole body which appoints judiciary, and still judiciary is considered independent. आप US में जाइए, it is not that judges only appoint, Supreme Court का judge is only appointed by other judges of the Supreme Court. So this was criticized too. In UK, the Constitutional Reform Act 2005 established a 15-member commission for choosing the candidates for Supreme Court. But in India, it is collegium system where Chief Justice of India along with 4 senior most judges decide who will become judge of the Supreme Court. And when we tried to change it, when Parliament tried to change it by bringing National Judicial Appointment Commission, that was declared unconstitutional by Supreme Court. So what is the role of government in the current appointment process? When a lawyer is getting appointed as judge, in that case government is supposed to get a IB inquiry conducted, Intelligence Bureau inquiry conducted. It can raise objection and seek clarification regarding the collegium's choice, but एक बार collegium reiterates the decision, same decision is reiterated by collegium, government does not have a lot of say. But it has not been provided in how much time government has to accept this recommendation. So when government is not happy with some appointment, they don't accept the recommendation, they do not reject it, but they do not even accept it because there is no time frame. And इस पे अभी debate हो रहा था when Supreme Court asked कि many of our recommendations are pending with you for so many years, or some of the recommendations have been pending for more than a year, but many recommendations have been pending for months. Why are you not working on it? Government has the scope of not working on it because there is no time limit in which the government has to act on the recommendation of collegium. Okay, so why collegium system is being criticized? Why? देखो, there is though Supreme Court has asked government कि why are you keeping these recommendations pending? Why have you not appointed these people? But on the other side, there are criticisms of the collegium system also. Ki we needed NJAC because collegium system suffers from a number of flaws, a number of limitations. First thing is, it was not something that was provided in the Constitution. It was created through interpretive gloss. Interpretive glosses, like it was not something which was originally there, but Supreme Court has interpreted the provisions of the Constitution in such a way that the real Constitution has been glossed over by the collegium system. The provisions in the Constitution has been glossed over by the collegium system. So one criticism against the collegium system is this. Then collegium system also lacks transparency. Like how is Chief Justice of India along with 4 judges deciding it? What is the criteria? why this judge was not appointed as a judge of Supreme Court, why this judge was appointed. These kind of questions are not answered. There is lack of transparency on this front. They say a major issue occurred when in August 2023 questions were raised when one of the country's finest judge in recent times, Justice Muralidhar, was not elevated to Supreme Court. At the age of 62, he got retired. Everyone was expecting that because of his independent nature of judgment, because of the impact of his judgments in the past, he is someone who is senior most, who is eligible to be appointed as a judge in the Supreme Court, but he was not appointed, whereas many of his juniors were appointed. Many of the judges who were not having as much credibility as Justice Muralidhar was appointed. So there is lack of transparency in the collegium process only. Then collegium process is also being considered autocratic, and it is being considered autocratic and it lacks accountability. Why? How? There have been arguments about collegium is promoting nepotism. जजेस के रिश्तेदार हाई कोर्ट में जजेस, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजेस के रिश्तेदार हाई कोर्ट में जजेस बन जा रहे हैं. हाई कोर्ट में जज का अपॉइंटमेंट का काम इनको ही करना है. collegium has to do it, and there have been many such cases. Now some of them may be eligible, some of them may be very good, but in a country where there are so many people, chances of this happening is very less if things were neutral. When things are not neutral, there is always focus on the focus on relatives of the existing judges may be high. Collegium system में this criticism has also been there. Then lack of expert body like standing committee to help collegium. Like there is no body as such which is helping collegium in choosing, identifying these are the good people whom you should consider. So here the scope available with collegium reduces. What happened? Here the scope available with collegium reduces drastically. How does it reduce drastically? Because they know a few judges, they know a few lawyers, they will consider people for appointment only from that group because they do not have a standing committee which is doing independent research. It also diverts judges from judicial work into administrative work, and transferring of judges of high court is a complex process, and there a specialized body which is giving you feedback would have been important. Then collegium system also limits the field of choice. Here I have explained. Delays in appointment of judges. This is another issue. Due to differences between executive and judiciary, this has caused delays in the justice delivery. For example, on 20th September 2024, Supreme Court asked government to explain its reasons for sitting on the names reiterated by the apex court collegium for months or even years together. Why is executive not appointing some, or why president is not appointing some judges even if Supreme Court has reiterated its recommendations? It's happening because there is difference between judiciary and executive. This difference between judiciary and executive would have been done away with if NJAC was working, because वहाँ पे law minister भी हैं, वहाँ पे eminent jurist भी हैं, वहाँ पे तीन ही judges हैं. तो collegium system is also leading to differences between judiciary and executive, which is leading to delays. Got it? So criticisms of collegium system. Why collegium system is questioned. Now some steps have been taken to reform the collegium system. One step is memorandum of procedure. So when NJAC judgment was given, Supreme Court knew that this judgment will be opposed, like executive will not be happy. So to improve collegium system, what Supreme Court said, executive, you prepared a memorandum of procedure, how collegium system should be, collegium should be functioning, how judges should be appointed. But this memorandum of procedure has not been finalized yet because of differences between executive and judiciary. Executive ने एक condition डाला कि when judiciary recommends someone, executive says नहीं वो appoint नहीं हो सकता, judiciary reiterates it, so collegium reiterates it. Then executive has to agree on that appointment. Here they said if we are rejecting someone, here the executives in memorandum of procedure that got created, executive said if we are rejecting someone on the ground of national security, then reiteration may be that person should not be allowed to, or it should not be mandatory for executive to appoint that person. on the ground of national security. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का और collegium का argument है, if in your report you will say कि national security issue है, why would we appoint that person? है ना? But final decision should be with us, not with executive. This difference has led to the entire memorandum of procedure not getting finalized. So one improvement that was suggested after NJAC was a memorandum of procedure should be created which will bring more transparency in the functioning of collegium, but that has not happened. Then resolution to make collegium's decision public on Supreme Court website. Now collegium का जो final decision होता है, that is made public, that is put on Supreme Court website, but still how that decision was reached, what were the criteria considered, all those things are not transparent, and this was one of the criticisms of the collegium system. So what can we do? What can we do to bring in changes? एक तो था कि यार create a body like NJAC, but it seems that in near future that may not be possible because Supreme Court very recently has described that to be unconstitutional. So we should give recommendations to make improvements in the current system. So one recommendation is more transparency on the criteria of merit, norms of selection and the selection process. Why some judges being rejected, why some judges being chosen, usme there has to be more transparency. One suggestion is government can set up judiciary can create a search-cum-evaluation committee as proposed by Ministry of Law and Justice to bring transparency in the judicial appointment through collegium system. This search-cum-evaluation committee will take all the applications. There can be a High Court judge who is qualifying to be, there can be a Supreme Court lawyer who is qualified to become a judge of Supreme Court, right? Even that person should be able to apply, other people should be able to apply. It will also be an evaluation committee which will see who are all the judges or who are all the people who are good enough, and then the matter should go to collegium. In the absence of this system, collegium has very little scope, very little set of people that it can look at. Eligibility criteria to judge the performance and suitability must be formulated objectively and must be made public, making collegium decision come under RTI. Collegium decision, not only the final decision, but how judges were chosen. So what we need to bring is, we need to bring more transparency. A secretariat altogether may be created, a secretariat for this purpose, which can specifically do this. It may be under collegium only, but under judiciary only, but specially focused on studying all the judges, studying all the lawyers, choosing right people. This will reduce the administrative work on collegium. Then attracting more talent in judiciary. If we want to improve judiciary, we should also be able to bring in more people, more good quality people in judiciary. And one suggestion for that is All India Judicial Service. Just we have civil services, through which like you will see that in civil services so many people are interested, so many bright people are interested. That doesn't happen in judicial service that much. आप कोई बच्चा judicial service में select हो गया है, वो फिर भी civil services में exam देता है. I have some of my students in your batch जो already judge हैं, जो selected हैं in your classroom, and they are applying for civil services because in the judicial services system is not as streamlined, how promotions would happen, how growth would happen, whereas in the civil services everything is way more streamlined. तो जो civil services के streamlined processes है for appointment, for promotion, all those things could be brought in judiciary through All India Judicial Service. So another suggestion is we need to have more talent so that collegium will have scope for more number of people who can be promoted from lower judiciary to High Court and from High Court eventually to Supreme Court. Right? Then we should also develop a mechanism to deal with complaints and adverse report. जैसे अभी we would see that a judge in the High Court referred a part of the country as Pakistan or something like that. Those kind of things, उन पे action लेने का कोई procedure होना चाहिए. We have a procedure, we'll talk about it, but it has some limitations. So we need to bring in changes there to make it more effective. Now you will say, sir, how is it related to appointment? देखो, point is, even after getting appointed, judges should be held accountable, good quality of judges should be there. The one reform that we need in the appointment process and uske baad ensuring that appointment judges are functioning properly is this. Okay, so for now, in conclusion, I'm saying कि for now possibility of replacing collegium system may not be there, and therefore we should focus on how within collegium system we can make it more transparent, we can ensure that more number of people may be interested, and once the judges are appointed they are working transparently, they are working in ethical way. उसको ensure करने के लिए भी there should be mechanism to deal with complaints and adverse reports about judges. These are certain things that we should keep in mind. So from what is collegium system to the challenges of collegium system and what should be done. Are we clear about all this? Now let us go to a topic of how accountability is ensured in higher judiciary. So why this topic? ये वाला I think I'm repeating it for the third time. A bench of 5 senior most judges of Supreme Court expressed serious concern about comments made by Karnataka High Court Justice V. Srishanand in September 2024. During a hearing, Justice Srishanand had referred to a particular locality in Bengaluru as being in Pakistan. In another hearing, he had made an objectionable comment against a female lawyer. So these things were taken by Supreme Court and they had expressed serious concern. But in judge ने कहीं पे माफी वगैरह मांग ली थी, तो the matter was not taken ahead. But the point is, through this, several articles came about how to hold judge accountable, how to hold judges of higher judiciary accountable, what are the current mechanisms and what improvements are needed there. समझ में आ रहा है न्यूज में क्यों था? There were several articles about improving the situation. We will talk about how to improve the situation. आपके नोट्स कहाँ हैं? तो कल नहीं मिला था, लास्ट वीक भी यही था. You forgot. घर पे रखा ही हो फिर दोबारा लेने गई हो यार. एक अक्टूबर 1 का एक बुकलेट दो. और किसके पास बुकलेट नहीं है अक्टूबर 1? Why don't you have it? Huh? Yesterday you didn't take. It was given last week. You have it at home. कल तो मैंने अक्टूबर 2 दिया था, अक्टूबर 1 तो पहले मिल गया था. How many of you don't have अक्टूबर 1 बुकलेट? है ही नहीं यार. कौन है? अजय, raise your hands. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 अक्टूबर 1 के 7 बुकलेट. देखो, whenever I'm taking class, please understand, whenever I'm taking class, it's my responsibility to ensure that you have booklet in front of you. But if you are watching classes online, if you are not coming to the classroom, then it's not my responsibility. आप PDF लेके print out करो. But when you are in the classroom, you should have printed booklet. Whenever I'm covering a topic, you should have printed booklet in front of you. पहले बताना था ना अजय, अक्टूबर 1 का I need 7 copies for October part 1. साथ ही है ना? Please raise your hands. अच्छे से पूरा उठाओ. 1 2 3 4 5 6. दूसरा भी उठा लो तुम्हें. 6 yes, एक कम हो गया. 7 booklets please मंगा दीजिए. Let's come to how accountability is ensured in judiciary. How accountability is ensured in judiciary. तो देखो, one is remove judges, है ना? सुप्रीम कोर्ट से जज को हटा दो, हाई कोर्ट से जज को हटा दो. ऑलरेडी है नोट्स. अक्टूबर 1 जब ये इन बच्चों को मना किसने किया? फिर प्लीज ले लीजिए. प्लीज रेज योर हैंड एंड टेक इट. मुझे ये भी बताओ, क्लास के बाद कि किसने मना किया था? क्या हुआ? मुझे बताओ उसके बाद कोई किसने मना किया है. सबको मिल गया? लेट्स कम टू दिस. देखो, वन थिंग इज व्हेन जजेस हैव उनका मिसबिहेवियर हैज बीन प्रूव्ड और इट हैज बीन प्रूव्ड दैट they do not have the capacity to remain a judge, they can be removed altogether. The process for it has been given in the constitution itself, and some of the responsibility was given to parliament. The parliament has made a law for it. So what is the process? देखो, under article 124 clause 4, it has been said that a judge of the Supreme Court shall not be removed from his office except. So when can a judge of Supreme Court be removed? Judge of Supreme Court can be removed by an order of the President passed after an address by each house of the Parliament supported by a majority of total membership of that house and by majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the house. So basically, a judge of the Supreme Court or Supreme Court can be removed by President after an order has been passed or after resolution has been passed in both houses of the Parliament by special majority. Special majority, 2/3 of the members present and voting, and at least majority of the total membership of the house. Article 124 clause 5 says that ये जो process है, it can be regulated by a law of Parliament. कि how would the in what cases this procedure will start, how will investigation happen, when would Parliament's role of voting come into play. All those things can be regulated by a law of Parliament, and Parliament has passed Judges Inquiry Act 1968 to explain the to give more details about the procedure. But for removing the judges of High Court, under Article 217 clause 1 subclause C, they have said that the same procedure as given in Article 124 clause 4 would be followed. So jaise judge of Supreme Court would be removed, in the same way judges of the High Court would be removed. Okay, but as per Article 124 clause 5, Parliament may by law regulate the process. ये पूरा process will be regulated by Parliament. So Parliament has passed this law where they say that this is the process that has to be followed. First, if a removal motion has to be introduced, it will be introduced either in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. In Lok Sabha, at least 100 members should be supporting it, and Rajya Sabha at least 50 members should be supporting it for that motion to be introduced. If only one MP comes and says a motion for impeachment procedure of a judge of the Supreme Court or judge of the High Court, it will not even be initiated. Substantial number, 100 in Lok Sabha and 50 in Rajya Sabha at least, if it introduced. Then Speaker or Chairperson may admit the motion or refuse to admit it. If it is admitted, then investigation by a 3-member committee takes place. This 3-member committee will consist of the Supreme Court judge, a Chief Justice of High Court, and a distinguished jurist. This 3-member committee will give its report. If the committee finds the judges guilty of misbehavior or suffering from incapacity, दो ही grounds है जिस पे judge can be removed. Judge is guilty of misbehavior or judge does not have the capacity. So suffering from incapacity, the House takes up the motion for consideration. Then the House will take up the motion. Before that, House will not vote on it. Motion was introduced, Chairman or Speaker accepted it, and what happened? Committee was created. Then committee's report would come. If in the report the judge is guilty, judge does not have the capacity, or judge is suffering from incapacity, or judge is proved guilty of misbehavior, in that case both the houses have to pass the motion by special majority, and only then the President can remove. If the motion is passed in both houses, the address is presented to the President, then the President passes an order for removing the judge. This is the process of removing a judge. On how many occasions have this mechanism for removal of judge of the higher judiciary been used? So it has been used, or the removal process has been triggered 5 times. By triggering 5 times means introduction in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. 5 times for entire Supreme Court and High Court, all the High Courts together. It has been triggered 5 times. It has never been passed in both houses of the Parliament. एक house में pass हो जाता है, and if there is a scope for it getting passed in the second house, judge himself resigns rather than getting impeached. So it has been triggered 5 times against Justice V. Ramaswamy in 1993, Justice Soumitra Sen in 2011, Justice J.B. Pardiwala in 2015, Justice C.V. Nagarjun in 2017, and Chief Justice Deepak Mishra in 2018. The proceedings has, however, never been successful, though Justice Sen was impeached by Rajya Sabha. Justice Soumitra Sen के removal का motion was passed by Rajya Sabha, and subsequently he subsequently resigned ahead of the impeachment motion passed in Lok Sabha. In case of Justice V. Ramaswamy, the motion was defeated in Lok Sabha. In 1993, it was introduced against V. Ramaswamy. It was defeated in Lok Sabha only. So the highest that we have gone, the furthest that we have gone is in the case of Justice Sen, when it was passed in one house, but before it could pass in the other house, before the motion could be passed in other house, Justice Sen himself resigned. तो वो impeachment process का जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ा. Okay, now in-house peer review procedure for correcting deviant behavior which does not warrant removal but only imposition of minor measures. अब देखो removal is what? Proved misbehavior पे removal हो सकता है, but misbehavior has different scales. One misbehavior is making a comment on a lawyer, which may be indecent. One misbehavior is involved in corrupt activity. Now, this comment may be subjective. Some may consider it indecent, some may consider it मजाक था. And यहाँ पे thus removal perhaps is a very strict measure. Some people may say कि नहीं यहाँ पे भी removal होना चाहिए. But it may be very strict, and thus removal may you may not get the right kind of support in the parliament. Corruption proved है तो removal पक्का होना चाहिए. But for other behaviors which may not need removal but some punishment, there is an in-house peer review procedure. What happens in this process? So this procedure was declared by a resolution of full court in 1999. Supreme Court in 1999 had created this procedure. This is the in-house procedure. Here, the logic for in-house mechanism was simple. Impeachment process was very cumbersome and required intervention and willpower to succeed. Or willpower की ज़्यादा होना चाहिए, political will to succeed. So impeachment is a very cumbersome process, and impeachment may not be needed every time. So in this process, what happens? When a complaint is made against a judge, complaint is made to the Chief Justice of the court, Chief Justice of India, or Chief Justice of the High Court. The Chief Justice of that court determines whether it is serious or not. If it is serious, then Chief Justice of India will take it for further action. Here, a 3-member committee of either High Court or Supreme Court judges examine the complaint. If the complaint is serious, then the committee may recommend initiation of removal process also. But if the complaint is not serious, then some other punishments may be given. Transfer ho jana, those kind of things may happen. But so this is the in-house procedure, in-house mechanism. What is in-house mechanism? A complaint may go to Chief Justice of the court. Chief Justice may accept it, form a committee. That committee may, after investigation, find that complaint is very serious. Then the committee may recommend this judge for removal, and the role of Parliament would come then. President and Parliament would come. But if it's not serious, then some वो क्या बोलते हैं, warning देके छोड़ दिया जा सकता है. Those kind of things may happen. Okay, so these are the two methods we have. One complete removal process, one in-house procedure to hold judges accountable. But this system suffers from various challenges. First is tedious and lengthy process have resulted in no judge from higher judiciary getting removed under the mechanism yet. So far, no judge has been impeached. अब एक judge impeach हो भी जाते, but he resigned earlier. Both the houses, special majority in both houses is a very difficult thing to achieve. Second, the current mechanism of the removal depends on mercy of politicians, and thus, in cases of judiciary politics nexus, removal of a judge in higher judiciary may be impossible. Suppose a judge is found to be involved in corrupt activity, but वो corruption कर रहा है government के साथ मिलके, government which is in power. In that case, taking action against this judge may not ever be possible because government has majority in Lok Sabha. If it has majority in Lok Sabha, majority में 2/3 special majority for removal of this judge may be difficult. Judges continue in their post during the removal process. That's also a very important issue. देखो, judges का investigation हो रहा है. 3 judge committees investigating that. In that scenario, or 3 judge committees doing detailed study on the case, even then that person remains judge of Supreme Court or judge of High Court and keeps on taking important decisions. The 1968 law does not say that in cases of such investigation, the judge should be suspended or judge should be not not playing his role in judiciary. Then lack of transparency in the inquiry process, both at in-house process level and in the inquiry committee at the level of parliament. What is this issue of lack of transparency? देखो in-house process में जैसे Justice AP Shah claims that most of the time the forwarded complaint are not even acknowledged. Complaint should go to Chief Justice of the court. It's not even acknowledged. No inquiry takes place in most of the cases. No one knows how many complaints were received by this in-house mechanism, how many were entertained, and so on. No, there is complete lack of transparency. If you ask कि दिल्ली में हाई कोर्ट है, उस हाई कोर्ट में इन हाउस कंप्लेंट मैकेनिज्म में कितने जजेस के अगेंस्ट कितने कंप्लेंट्स आए हैं, you will not have that data. So there is complete lack of transparency. In-house process also lacks statutory or constitutional backing. It was created in 1993 through a resolution of judiciary, but it doesn't have any statutory or legal backing. So what do we need to do to improve the accountability of judges? We need to bring a statutory mechanism. In 2010, such a bill was introduced, just Judicial Standard and Accountability Bill was introduced in the parliament, but it could never get passed. It was passed in Lok Sabha, but it eventually lapsed in Rajya Sabha. It eventually lapsed with dissolution of 15th Lok Sabha. It was never passed in Rajya Sabha. So this kind of bill, which will lay down enforceable standards of conduct for judges, which will provide that judges should declare their property and assets of their family members also. It should provide for a better institutional framework. The current institutional framework is cumbersome, lacks transparency. The bill, Judicial Standard Accountability Bill, if this kind of law is brought in future, it should provide for better institutional mechanisms. A new and more detailed code of conduct guiding judicial behavior is needed. Ensure that only high quality judges are appointed at the first place, so that chances of this kind of problem occurring on the upper area would be on the other side would be difficult. Supreme Court should clarify the extent and scope of RTI applicability also. Extent and scope of RTI applicability, like there are different judgments by various high courts where sometimes certain things are made available to public, sometimes other things are not made available to public. ये RTI के अंदर आता है, ये RTI के अंदर नहीं आता है. This kind of arguments are made. So once and for all, Supreme Court should clarify what are the things on which questions can be asked, what are the things on which questions cannot be asked. Then judiciary can also be brought under the scope of Lokpal. This has happened in countries like Sweden. Judiciary comes under the scope of ombudsman. If that is done, that will be another mechanism of holding judiciary accountable. Streamline process for regular performance evaluation of judges. This is another thing. There is no performance evaluation of judges. If you have become a judge, how well you are performing, there is no objective mechanism for that. तो आपका appointment ऊपर होता है, आपका promotion होता है, all that sometimes depend on how close you are to the people who are appointing, rather than performance. So we also need to develop a performance evaluation mechanism for judges. So there are lots of things which are needed to ensure accountability of judiciary. It's very important because what is at stake is the trust that the courts must inspire in those who are brought before them in democratic society. A lack of trust is lethal for democracy and development and encourage the perpetuation of corruption. And for this trust to develop, कि नहीं judiciary काम अच्छे से ही करेगा. Judiciary should be working in a transparent manner, should be working in an accountable manner, and judges against whom complaints come, उनका proper investigation and acquittal or conviction should take place. We get it? ये पूरा topic समझ में आया सबको? There are two things that we do. One is the constitutional method, other is the in-house process, but both the things are problematic as it's time consuming, cumbersome, it enhances judiciary executive nexus. We have seen no judge has been impeached so far. There is lack of transparency on how many judges, against how many judges have complaints actually come. All these issues are there. We should be focused on dealing with these issues. Okay, now the last topic. दो टॉपिक्स हैं, पहले स्टेम सेल्स एंड स्टेम सेल्स रिसर्च में व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ स्टेम सेल एंड स्टेम सेल रिसर्च, we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about how type 1 diabetes has been treated recently with the help of stem cell therapy. So type 1 diabetes getting treated with the help of stem cell therapy was in news recently, but उससे पहले I want you people to understand stem cells and their purpose, their applications. Okay, चलिए, let's come back to our yesterday's class. If you remember yesterday's class, we had said that life starts as a single cell with a nucleus. Life starts as a single cell with a nucleus. ये क्या हुआ? चल रहा है ना, क्लास चल रही है. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स एक बार कमेंट करके बता देना, क्योंकि यहाँ पे फिर से पावर कट हुआ है एंड आई एम होपिंग क्लासेस आर गोइंग ऑन, बट आई एम वेरी हैप्पी कि पावर कट होने के बाद भी लाइव क्लासेस कैन गो ऑन लाइक दिस. आई रिमेंबर इन मार्च आई वाज कंडक्टिंग अ मैपिंग का सेशन, open session on mapping. This entire classroom was full by offline students, and there were around 200 students online. Light चली गई आधे घंटे के लिए. We had just moved into this building. We had not set up a generator. We had not set up this UPS system, and for half an hour, nothing. आप अभी भी जाओगे शायद मार्च 15 को हमारे जो मैपिंग का क्लास था उसका वीडियो इफ यू विल सी, वहां पे बीच में फॉर हाफ एन आवर एवरीथिंग वाज गॉन and then power came back. So at that time we ensured generator, but even after when we installed generator, what happened was generator को on करने में 1 मिनट लगता था, तो things used to still get disconnected and there used to be problems. So then we moved on to this UPS system also, कि UPS will give us backup for 15-20 minutes and तब तक generator will kick in, so that there is no disconnection. I experienced that today कि अब कोई लाइव क्लास में दिक्कत नहीं है. नाउ लेट्स कम टू दिस थिंग. सेल के अंदर न्यूक्लियस हैज जीन्स फ्रॉम मदर एंड फादर बोथ. आवर लाइफ स्टार्टेड विद अ सिंगल सेल. ओके, दिस सेल विल इवेंचुअली मल्टीप्लाई इनटू 2 cells. This cell will eventually multiply into 2 cells, and then 4 cells, and then 8 cells, and it will keep on multiplying, right? But this cell, जो ये multiplication होने के बाद embryonic stage में these cells are there, are these cells muscle cells or neuron cells or heart cells or skin cells? Are these cells any of these specialized type of cells? No, these are undifferentiated cells. From these cells with more multiplication, specialized types of cells would get created. और ऐसे समझो, आपका एग सेल, देखो muscle cells, when you study biology, muscle cell structure is something like this. It has different purpose. When you study about neuron cells are something like this. मतलब neural cells will have this axon, neuron cells will have something like a structure like this. Sperm cells altogether different structure. So initially the cell that we have, is it a neuron cell? Is it a sperm cell? Is it a muscle cell? No, ये बस एग सेल मल्टीप्लाई हो रहे हैं, right? But eventually, after enough number of cells have been created, some of these cells will specialize into when you will see the process of fertilization of egg to eventual childbirth, there would be a time when एक बच्चा इतने छोटे से साइज का होता है. If you'll look at the after fertilization, within a month the child is of very small size. एक month में जो बच्चे का वो होगा, that will be a very small baby. But within 1 month some specialized things like heart etc. get created. With a 2 month का baby आप देखोगे तो उसका heart और ये सारी चीजें have been created. So some specialized cells have been created, but they have been created from what? Some unspecialized cells. Those unspecialized cells had some special property. These cells may convert into either muscle cells or heart cells or skin cell or liver cell. उससे ही तो eventually liver was created, eventually heart was created, eventually skin was created. Are we getting it? These are stem cells. These are stem cells. These are called embryonic stem cells. So what are stem cells? Stem cells are undifferentiated. Undifferentiated means you are not calling them muscle cell or heart cell. They are undifferentiated cells. They are unspecialized cells which have capability of becoming some specialized cell. They may multiply and remain undifferentiated, unspecialized, but they may multiply and become specialized. This is the property of stem cell. Do we get it? Do we all understand it? So, UPSC ने मेंस 2017 में एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था स्टेम सेल्स पे, तो we have given that question also. By the end of this topic, you should be able to answer this question, or I have given another practice question also. So what is stem cells? Stem cells are a class of undifferentiated cells that are able to differentiate into specialized cell types. They are undifferentiated cells which can differentiate. They have capability to differentiate into specialized cell types. Stem cells are body's natural reservoir. They replenish stocks of specialized cells. इस पे आते हैं. There are two, we will come to this portion again. There are two, for now let's understand this. There are two important characteristics of stem cell. One, they are unspecialized. Do we understand the meaning of this? They are unspecialized. Two, when cell division take place, the new cells has the potential either to remain a stem cell. That is, a stem cell, when it will multiply, it will remain, both the cells will remain stem cells, or become another type of cell with a more specialized function. So when a stem cell will multiply, it will either remain a stem cell. Initially, when cells were multiplying, they were remaining a stem cell, or eventually some stem cell became skin cell, heart cell, liver cell, and so on. These are the two important characteristics of stem cells. They are unspecialized, undifferentiated, and when they multiply, they may remain a stem cell, or they may become a specialized cell. Are we clear about this? Okay. Now, stem cells can be of two types. One is embryonic stem cells. Embryonic stem cells अभी हमने समझा. When within a few days of fertilization of egg, what do you have? Egg fertilize होने के 2-4 दिन बाद आप जाओगे, and जो fertilized egg multiply होके बना है, it's nothing but a group of stem cells, a lot of stem cells there. Eventually those stem cells will create the entire human being. Science is a very, very interesting subject. आप जब पढ़ोगे, like even now sometimes, no, like I remember 2 weeks back I was revising this entire thing, and I was watching the process by which an egg gets converted into a full baby. And वो देखते देखते ना मेरी वो फिर से ना ये बोल क्या कि गूस बम्स आ गए थे. अंग्रेजी मैं बोला बाल खड़े हो गए थे, गूस बम्स आ गए थे, रोंगटे खड़े हो गए थे, राइट, रोंगटे खड़े हो गए थे, गूस बम्स आ गए थे कि यार that's how crucial it is. I was just one of my friends just had a baby 2 months back. So I was like, this baby was a single cell. This baby was a single cell. Then it was just a lump of cells, embryonic stem cells. Usse small heart, small skin, everything got developed. Eventually a बड़ा सा baby निकला है. That's how this is how important that is. But one type of stem cells are embryonic stem cells. But do you know, even in our body, We are not in embryonic stage anymore. Stem cells exist. Those are known as adult stem cells or somatic stem cells. Adult does not mean 18 साल के बाद वाले के body में रहेगा. Adult means they are not embryonic stem cells. Even a newborn baby, there are some somatic stem cells or adult stem cells. Okay, so we have two types of stem cells, embryonic stem cells and somatic or adult stem cells. Embryonic stem cells, they are stem cells from embryonic stage. The embryonic stem cells used in research today mostly comes from unused embryos. तो जब IVF होता है, IVF में there are some embryos which are unused. So if you have seen the process of IVF, or no, if you have heard about the process of IVF, it's not that only one egg is fertilized. जब आप IVF के through baby करना चाहोगे ना, तो they fertilize multiple eggs and they try to ensure that there will be some success. But success can be multiple also. आपको एक ही बच्चा चाहिए. Eventually you want one egg to be implanted in you, but other eggs were also fertilized. They are also multiplying in lab. Now they would not be eventually converted into a baby. So embryonic stem cells you get from where? You will not get embryonic stem cells from your own body. वरना वो बच्चा मर जाएगा. Imagine this, a single egg cell. If you remove that egg cell, the egg cell was not embryonic cell, stem cell, but egg cell got multiplied into a lot of stem cells. If you remove some of those stem cells, it was those stem cells which were eventually going to become the baby. So where do you get embryonic stem cells? You get embryonic stem cells from unused embryos which result from IVF procedure. These embryonic stem cells are generally pluripotent. Abhi we'll understand the meaning of pluripotent. Pluripotent means these stem cells can convert into many different kinds of cells. These stem cells can convert into many different kinds. So this cell can get converted into cells of your skin also. This cell can get converted into cells of your heart also. This cell can get converted into cell of your lungs also. सबके अलग अलग types of cells हैं. It can get converted. Then there are somatic or adult stem cells. Now somatic or adult stem cells, the stem cells which are not coming from embryonic stage are somatic or adult stem cells. These come from fully developed tissues such as brain, skin, bone marrow. These are only small, there are only small number of stem cells. So in your body, there are stem cells in almost all parts of your body, but those stem cells are in very small quantity. Unlike embryonic stem cells where almost all the cells were stem cells, here very few stem cells in your body are embryonic stem cells. They generally generate only certain type of cells. So somatic stem cells are not kind of totipotent. It can convert into any type of cell. For example, you take stem cells from your blood and you will want stem cell convert into heart cell. It will not, because that stem cell is blood stem cell, so it may get converted into red blood cell, platelets, white blood cell, but it will not be pluripotent in that sense that it will get converted into, whereas embryonic stem cell could have converted into heart cell, could have converted into blood cell, could have converted into other such things. For example, a stem cell that comes from liver will only make liver cells. Liver may be, there are multiple kinds of cells, it may make any of those multiple kinds of cells, but it will only make liver cells. They remain in quiescent or non-living state and they act as reservoirs. In case of injury to your body, the adult stem cells will get activated. Some cells have died in your body, adult stem cells or somatic stem cells will get activated and they will produce specialized type of cells which are needed. Okay, in some organs such as gut, bone marrow, stem cells regularly divide. Many stem cells are in sleeping stage, but in some body parts like in your gut. In your gut, cells are getting damaged very quickly because of the acidic environment and new cells have to be created continuously. In the same way, in your bone marrow, cells, blood cells are getting generated regularly. So they regularly divide to repair and replace worn out or damaged tissues. In other organs such as pancreas and hearts, stem cells only divide under special conditions. But these stem cells are what? adult or somatic stem cells. Do we understand this? So there are embryonic stem cells and there are adult somatic stem cells. Now adult and somatic stem cells we have divided into two types. One that you are getting from your body, second is induced pluripotent stem cells. What is induced pluripotent stem cell? देखो induced pluripotent stem cell, please understand this. Let's come to the beginning again. I go back to a single cell all the time. Let's come to this beginning. There is this single fertilized egg cell or zygote. It is getting converted into multiple cells, multiple cells, multiple cells, multiple cells. But let's say eventually we have created so many stem cells. So these were what? Our embryonic stem cells. These are our embryonic stem cells. All of them have nucleus. The nucleus has the same nucleus which rest of our body has. Now, if I take another cell from my body, from my adult body, is this nucleus and this nucleus the same? Yes. Egg cell में जो nucleus है हमारे fertilize होने के बाद, in our entire body same nucleus is there. In our entire body same genetic material is there. कल हमने बोला था ना, and that is why in different cells regulation needs to happen because different cells will produce different kind of protein, and that is why regulatory mechanisms were needed, but they have the same nuclear material. This is my adult stem cell or adult cell or somatic cell. If this adult or somatic cell in lab, can I modify this in lab? Yes. Can I modify it to become a stem cell? Yes. I can modify it to become stem cell also. Stem cell will have some characteristic which this adult cell does not have. What if I modify this cell in the lab so that it starts behaving like a stem cell? In this case, what I have achieved is I have created a stem cell by inducing changes in it. These are called induced stem cells. These are called induced stem cells. Did we understand the meaning of induced stem cell? Now, if the stem cell that we have created by making changes in the cell in labs is pluripotent, that is, it can convert into many different kind of cells. If this cell can convert into many different kind of cell, it is called induced pluripotent stem cell. Induced pluripotent stem cell. So this is an adult cell, please understand. This is a somatic cell which we have modified in lab to become stem cell. This is induced pluripotent stem cell. This is the second type of adult stem cell. These are adult stem cells that have been changed in a lab to be more like embryonic stem cells. This was first achieved in 2006. Induced pluripotent stem cells don't seem to be different from embryonic stem cells, but scientists have not yet found one that can develop every kind of cell and tissue. So it is like embryonic stem cell, but embryonic stem cells are capable of forming every kind of cell and tissue. Induced stem cells cannot yet do that, but they are pluripotent. Okay, so far what have we studied? We have studied what are stem cells. So stem cells are undifferentiated unspecialized cell which can convert into either they will remain undifferentiated unspecialized or they may become a specialized. Now these stem cells can be embryonic. Initially a lot of stem cells are getting created which eventually become specialized, and these may be adult. Our adult stem cells may there are in your body there are some cells which are stem cells. In some parts of your body, like in your heart, they are in sleeping state. At the time of injury, they will wake up and create more heart cells. But in some part of your body, like in your gut, in your bone marrow, there are some adult stem cells which regularly keep creating new cells. ये बात समझ में आई? No. Then other kind of adult stem cell is the cell that you have created in lab. We took one of my cells, modified it to behave like embryonic stem cells. This is induced pluripotent stem cell. Induced pluripotent stem cells. Are we all comfortable here? Okay. Now, on the basis of potency, stem cells can be classified into these types: totipotent, pluripotent, multipotent, oligopotent, unipotent. Let us understand these terms. टोटी मतलब किसी में भी बन, कोई आप कुछ भी बन सकते हो. देखो, initially you had an egg cell. That egg cell has become everything. That fertilized egg cell has become everything. So when that egg cell multiplied into two cells, the cells that you had were totipotent. They are capable of becoming your entire body. So initially the cells that we have till the time first level of differentiation does not occur, those are totipotent. They are capable of becoming any kind of cell in your body. So these can differentiate into all possible types of stem cells. These are generally found in the earliest stage of embryonic development, exist roughly within 1 to 3 days after fertilization. Fertilization के 1 से 3 दिन, fertilization के within 1 day it will start multiplying. तो 1 to 3 days में जो आपके पास cells रहते हैं, which are they are capable of becoming any type of cell in your body, those are known as totipotent stem cells. Do we get it? Do we understand what is totipotent stem cell? समझ में आया? Then there is pluripotent stem cells. Now pluripotent stem cells can also convert into almost every type of cell in your body, but they cannot create extra embryonic stem cells. What is extra embryonic stem cells? Something like placenta and other supporting structure. Embryo through placenta, embryo is connected to the mother. So totipotent stem cells could have also created cells which form this placenta and other components of the connection. But pluripotent stem cells cannot create this embryonic cell or cannot create this extra embryonic cell. They can create every cell in your body, but embryo ke bahar wala, which is connecting it to the mother, they cannot create it. So pluripotent cells also create almost all the cells in your body except the extra. Totipotent could have created even that. Please understand, a single cell eventually getting converted into 10-20 different cells was totipotent stem cell. This totipotent stem cell is still not attached to mother's womb. Placenta has not been created yet, and thus इसी totipotent stem cell से placenta will also get created. But pluripotent stem cells will not be able to create placenta. Rest everything else they will be able to create. They will not be able to create extra embryonic stem cell, extra embryonic components cells. Did you understand totipotent, pluripotent? Then we have multipotent stem cells. These differentiate into a closely related cell types. For example, hematopoietic stem cells. From these stem cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, T cells, B cells, all those type of cells are created जो हमारे blood में है. So they are what? Multipotent stem cells. They are not totipotent or pluripotent. They are multipotent because they will form all the cells, multiple types of cells, but of the blood type only. Then we have oligopotent stem cells. They will create only limited types of cells. And then unipotent stem cells. This type of stem cell get differentiated only in one type of specialized cell. They are right now unspecialized, but when they will get converted into specialized cell, they will get converted only into one type of. For example, muscle stem cells. Muscle stem cells, when they multiply, they will either remain muscle stem cell or they will become muscle cell. They will become muscle cell. So these are unipotent stem cells. Are we clear here? Are we comfortable here? Okay. Recent research in stem cell technologies. अब देखो, stem cell research is, why is it important? Let's understand this. Let's take example of Ashik. Think of Ashik. सब लोग ध्यान से आशिक के बारे में सोचो. Let's say, unfortunately, आशिक के दिल में कोई प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है. प्रॉब्लम तो आशिक के दिल में ही आएगी. नॉट प्यार मोहब्बत वाली प्रॉब्लम, some medical issue. Now think of Ashik's heart. Ashik, ये बच्चे ऑनलाइन वाले कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे. Ashik is name of a student in class. उसके दिल का सोचो. How was his heart formed? It was from some stem cells. It was from some stem cells, some embryonic stem cells. So can in lab we take embryonic stem cells and create component of his heart? We can create it, no? Suppose tomorrow I face an accident और मेरे ये skin जल जाता है पूरा. With the help of embryonic stem cells or with the help of induced pluripotent stem cells, can a layer of tissue and a layer of skin be created? Yes. People who are dying or who are in old age not able to develop new brain cells and thus have started forgetting things. Brain cells were also created from stem cells. Can we create brain cells there? Yes. Some people are facing blood disorder. Right kind of blood cells are not getting formed. Enough blood cells are not getting formed. Can stem cells be used for solving that problem? Please understand, we've all come from some stem cells. And thus our entire body, various components of our body can get created from stem cells. Can get created from stem cells. अभी हम lab grown meat वाला फंडा भी समझेंगे. Lab grown meat comes from stem cells. No violence, no death, no खून खराबा, but मटन का पूरा स्वाद. Ethically भी will not be problematic. Abhi we'll talk about that. But did we understand? So why do we need to focus on stem cell research? Because it has potential to solve so many health issues, so many challenges. And that is why you will see many a times this thing, you will hear this in news, people are at the time of birth of their child preserving placenta. Placenta has a lot of stem cells. People are preserving it. In future, as stem cell research becomes more advanced, the stem cells in the placenta may be used to treat the future diseases, future challenges that my health may face. Are we able to understand this? Are we able to get it? So, every cell in our body is derived from the first few stem cells formed in the early stage of embryonic development. Therefore, stem cells extracted from embryos can be induced to become any desired cell type. This property makes stem cell powerful enough to regenerate damaged tissues under right condition. Right now, the only type of stem cells which are being used for health purposes is hematopoietic stem cells or blood stem cells. These are the blood cells forming adult stem cells found in bone marrow. Every type of blood cell in the bone marrow starts as stem cell. But fields where stem cell stem cells are used or have potential to be used, and therefore research is going on. कहाँ पे stem cells use हो रहे हैं या फिर in future, which are all the places where stem cells can be used. तो stem cell research क्यों important है? उसका आंसर है 1. Blood stem cells are already being used. तो bone marrow transplant. These help people with cancer to make new blood cells after their own hematopoietic stem cells have been killed by radiation therapy and chemotherapy. When you are facing blood cancer and associated issues, your stem cells are generating cells which are cancerous. So what would happen? Your bone marrow will be transplanted. New bone marrow would be added. New stem cells would be added. Those stem cells will be able to generate healthier cells. It's already something that is being done. Treating people with conditions like Fanconi anemia. This is a blood disorder that causes body's bone marrow to fail. Now here also for this treatment stem cells are being used, but hematopoietic stem cells, blood stem cells are being used. Stem cells may help your health in future in many ways and through many treatments. These are the potential applications in future. It will be used in future to create new tissues and new organs. देखो हार्ट ट्रांसप्लांट, लिवर ट्रांसप्लांट, इसके लिए बहुत सारे लोग वेट करते रहते हैं. इन लैब वी कैन क्रिएट हार्ट एंड लिवर. आशिक के कितने भी दिल टूटे, नए दिल बन के लग सकते. आशिक, यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस? यू अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी प्रॉपरली? ओके. हाउ डू यू नो सो मच हिंदी? यू आर फ्रॉम कन्याकुमारी, नो? तो हाउ डू यू नो? यू हैव स्टडीड हिंदी? Last 2 years you are in Delhi, so you must have heard, you must have learned एकदम core Hindi, bad Hindi words also. दिल्ली में है, तो now you go to Kanyakumari and say दिल्ली से हूँ. Do you say all those things? No, you don't. Nice, good boy. Don't learn everything. झूठ बोल रहा है. How do you know? You are a friend. तुम already उसे गालियाँ बकने लगे हो. हाँ. तो गलती तुम्हारी है ना. Why have you taught him these things? अच्छा, many friends. अब ये blame पूरा ये नहीं बोल रहा मैंने नहीं पढ़ाया, बोल रहा है और भी फ्रेंड्स हैं, हम सबने मिल के इसे सिखाया. नो, ओनली लर्न गुड थिंग्स, रीड गुड पोएट्रीज इन हिंदी, है ना. डोंट लर्न बैड थिंग्स. तो एनीवेज, लेट्स से हिज हार्ट फेसेस एन इशू. अभी नहीं, when stem cell technology is advanced, we'll create a new heart. लो आशिक comes next year and says ये भी टूट गया. one more, because from stem cells new heart could be generated. समझ रहे हो the potential that stem cells have, stem cell research has, right? One day healthcare professionals may be able to treat people with chronic heart disease by growing healthy heart muscle cells in a lab and transplanting them in damaged heart. Stem cells that lie just beneath the skin, for example, have been used to engineer new skin tissues that can be grafted onto burn victim. Shortage of donated organs in India. This problem in future could be solved by stem cell technology. Other treatments could target illness such as type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes was in news recently. Type 1 diabetes का treatment हुआ है through stem cell. We'll talk about it. अरे, we'll talk about it. Wait. Type 1 diabetes, spinal cord injuries, Alzheimer disease, brain cells का regeneration, rheumatoid arthritis by replenishing damaged tissue. For example, in 2024, a woman with type 1 diabetes in China regained her insulin production after receiving transplantation of reprogrammed stem cells that reportedly reversed the disease. This happened for the first time. To understand this, we'll first understand what is type 1 diabetes, what is type 2 diabetes, then we'll come to it. Abhi next topic is this only. Then new medicines could also be tested on cells made from pluripotent stem cells. हम humans पे new medicine test नहीं करते because it may have negative impact. But if we want to test it on human cells, we can create those cells from stem cells. Stem cells research is also important for learning about human development. In lab, when you grow those stem cells into a complete heart, you can better understand how in the womb of mother the child develops. Lab grown meat production have dependent on stem cell research. Let us understand the concept of lab grown meat. देखो, many people don't eat meat, right? Many people don't eat meat. They don't eat it because meat is cruel. Meat comes from killing of a living being. There may be religious reason, but उस religion में ऐसा क्यों है? Because it is cruel. Some person may say that I'm a Jain, I do not eat meat because I'm a Jain. But that person is not eating meat because Jainism criticizes cruelty, does not want you to kill someone for food. I had a friend who was a Jain. He did not eat aloo paratha because aloo came from under the ground and it led to life getting lost when you pulled it out. There are people who will not. The same friend did not walk on the grass because on grass there are living organisms. She would not eat anything after 5 p.m. So there are people who religiously follow these things. So one thing, like if I ask some of you, why are you not a non-vegetarian? You will say, why kill someone for food? Fine, will not kill someone. This time suppose you want to eat mutton, है ना, किसी को कलेजी पसंद है मटन का, कीमा कलेजी, those kind of things come, and you don't want to kill a mutton. Just take stem cells, grow कलेजी. Now you will say, sir, stem cells embryonic. No, embryonic मत लो, बकरा है तुम्हारे पास बड़ा सा, you don't want to kill that bakra, don't kill that bakra, just take some cells from it, go in lab, create induced pluripotent stem cell. Now this induced pluripotent stem cells can be made into a kaleja. Now khao keema kaleji without killing anyone, without harming anyone. This is what is happening in lab grown meat. Are we getting it? Are we understanding it? तो even vegetarians जिनको ऐसा मन करता है देख के कभी खाने का, but because it's unethical, because it is leading to death of someone, can in future enjoy it without harming anyone by stem cell. Or already lab grown meats are something which are available. Lab grown meats are something which people are consuming. Lab grown meat is commercially available in many countries and people are consuming. Okay, now so stem cell ke applications, are we clear about it? Are we very comfortable? Now there are some controversies associated with stem cell. One is the issue of life. This problem basically comes from embryonic stem cells. When you say that an embryo, when you are removing stem cells from embryo, that embryo was eventually going to become a living being. You are killing that. So वो एक debate होता है. It may be genuine, it may not be genuine. I am not going into that. Then there is a debate about chimeras. Chimeras are living organisms which have human cells and cells of other animals also. So sometimes we take stem cells of other animals for helping in human health. So that is also is criticized that this should not happen. But there are some challenges also. Stem cells have a lot of potential, but stem cells suffer from a number of limitations, a number of challenges right now. Else, heart transplant के लिए किसी को रुकना ही नहीं पड़ता. एक वेजिटेरियन जिसका कीमा कलेजी खाने का बहुत मन है, उसको भी रुकना नहीं पड़ता, इजीली मिल रहा होता. किसी का स्किन बर्न हो गया है, स्किन ग्राफ्ट करवाने के लिए नया स्किन ऑफ द एग्जैक्टली द type that you have, it would have all been possible or affordable. Some of these things are possible also, but more easily affordable if more advancement in stem cell research would have happened. So what are the things which are hindering advancement in stem cell research? Right now R&D is limited. Stem cells need much more study before they are used. Their use can be expanded. Scientists must learn from about how embryonic stem cells develop. This will help them understand how to control the type of stem cells created by them. Embryonic stem cells available today may be rejected by the body. Some people find it morally troubling to use stem cells coming from embryos. Adult stem cells are found in body in a very small quantity. Induced pluripotent stem cells are very complex to build, very difficult to build. So these are some of the challenges that exist right now in the advancement of stem cell research. So in future, in our way forward, we have to focus on one, more R&D, more advancement. Two, for people who are like embryonic stem cells nahi lena hai, induced pluripotent stem cells need to be developed, need to be advanced, and for that also again more R&D, more focus, more investment would be needed. Now an example, now a topic, treating of type 1 diabetes with the help of stem cell therapy. For this, let us first understand diabetes. Diabetes hota kya hai? Diabetes is when the sugar level in your blood increases. Now to control sugar level in your blood, your pancreas produce something known as insulin. Your pancreas may be, there are beta cells. There are beta cells which produce what? insulin. In our pancreas, there are beta cells which produce insulin that controls the sugar level in our blood. But sometimes your beta cells are not able to produce insulin, or your pancreas are not able to produce beta cells. So beta cells are not able to produce insulin. वो situation हो सकता है. In this situation, you are facing type 1 diabetes. You're facing type 1 diabetes. Before insulin was discovered, 1920s के आसपास insulin discover हुआ था. Before that, when someone suffered from type 1 diabetes, that person lived for 5-6 months, 1 year, but बचपन में ही निकल लेते थे. There was no treatment available. Insulin was extracted from other animals from 1920s, and that insulin is injected now. After 1920s, people who have type 1 diabetes throughout life, they will take external insulin. They will take external insulin. So suppose, let's say I'm suffering from type 1 diabetes, है ना? Let's say I'm suffering from type 1 diabetes. अब सारी बीमारियां आशिक को दे दूंगा तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगी. Let's say I'm suffering from type 1 diabetes. Every day I have to take insulin because my body, beta cells in my pancreas are not able to produce enough insulin. But there is problem in my beta cells, no? Can stem cell, मेरी body से cells लो, convert them into induced pluripotent stem cells. Those stem cells can improve the situation of beta cells in my body by stem cell therapy. Can that happen? Theoretically, it was possible. Practically, someone has done it in China, and this woman who was suffering from type 1 diabetes is now no more suffering from it. Did we understand? देखो, this is type 1. Type 2 diabetes is different. Elderlies or people who are unhealthy, the diabetes that they start suffering from in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, that is type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is different. It occurs because of obesity, because of not exercising, because of overconsumption of sugar. In that case, your body is producing insulin, but your body is not reacting to insulin. Whereas in type 1 diabetes, your body was not able to produce insulin. So here they have treated what? They have treated type 1 diabetes using stem cell research. Are we all able to understand this? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? Okay. So what is type 1 diabetes? It's an autoimmune condition where the immune system attacks and destroys the insulin producing beta cells. So in your own body, immune system is destroying beta cells and thus resulting in diabetes. In this condition, a patient is insulin dependent throughout life. For decades, for management of type 1 diabetes, only insulin therapy was available, only you could give insulin. Ab stem cell therapy using in the type 1 diabetes, what has happened here? Here I am not explaining type 2 diabetes for some types. In this case, researchers developed chemical induced pluripotent stem cells. Induced pluripotent stem cells, lab mein chemical induced pluripotent stem cells from the patient's own cell. So patient's own cell, adult cells were taken and converted into induced pluripotent stem cells and chemically reprogrammed them to become functional beta cell. Pluripotent stem cell, they may become any kind of cell, reprogram them to become beta cells. These reprogrammed cells were then transplanted into patient's body where they began producing insulin autonomously, effectively restoring pancreas function. Over time, the patient showed improvement in blood glucose levels and significantly reducing dependence on injected insulin. This is the example where what has happened, stem cell therapy has been used to treat type 1 diabetes. अब देखो, इसे पढ़ाने से पहले ना stem cells क्या है वो सब पढ़ाना जरूरी था. You have been able to understand it very easily because you understand rest of the things very easily. Now teaching you lab grown meat is very easy because you understand stem cells, embryonic stem cells, adult stem cell, induced pluripotent stem cells, right? Only when you understand those things, coming to this aspect becomes very easy. Now you would be like, इसमें क्या था, ये तो मैं भी कर देता. नहीं, we have heart भी बन सकता है lab में. Scientists are working on it. There are complexities, they are working on it. You may say, I can also do that. I'll take some stem cells, we'll grow it in lab. है ना? But बोलना अलग होता है, करना difficult होता है. Sometimes we see people criticizing ministers and prime ministers ऐसे ही, अरे इन्होंने कुछ नहीं किया, ऐसा मैं होता तो ऐसा कर देता. तुम्हें उनका सिचुएशन पता नहीं है, जबरदस्ती का ज्ञान देने लगते हो. तो क्रिटिसाइज करना है बट नॉट कि लाइक वो तो गधा ही है, वो गधा नहीं है. नहीं, मैं किसी पर्टिकुलर को नहीं बोल रहा ऐसे. तो अच्छा, donkeys that I talk, yes, हाँ, they should not be called गधा, है ना. Our minister should not be called गधा. Fine. उन्हें घोड़ा भी नहीं बोल सकते हैं. शेर, वाह, इतने भी अच्छे नहीं है. चलिए कोई बात नहीं. Let's come back. तो my point is कि to understand, we have superficially understood things. कि stem cells से बीटा सेल्स भी बन रहे हैं, स्टेम सेल से हार्ट भी बन रहा है, स्टेम सेल से ब्रेन भी बन रहा है. बट इन लैब, in laboratory, when this actually happens, there are lots of complexities involved. So, but at least we will understand those things superficially. We are understanding those things superficially only. We do not know exactly lab में और क्या क्या किया गया होगा. Okay, there are some challenges though. This kind of thing, like for example, नया heart बना लेना, there are some issues which still continue. Stem cell therapy is an invasive procedure where you are introducing stem cell in a particular part of body, and in any invasive procedure carries risk. Infections and associated issues may be there. Immune rejection is a challenge. Although chemically induced pluripotent stem cells are patient specific. Your own stem cells were taken and they were made induced pluripotent stem cell, there is still a risk that body's immune system may perceive the newly differentiated beta cell as foreign because it's slightly different from the existing beta cells. And if it's identified as foreign, your own immune system may attack those cells also. Then they may also lead to generation of tumors. Sometimes when stem cells are induced in your body, if the stem cells are not fully differentiated into beta cells, or if there is residual pluripotent activity, those cells may start multiplying and may become something else, may become a tumor, they may proliferate uncontrollably. Even the encapsulation technology that protects transplanted cells from immune rejection carries a risk. So, to protect the introduced cells, we encapsulate, or we use an encapsulation technology by which it is protected from our immune system. But even this encapsulation technology carries certain medical risk. Then there is issue of longevity and functionality. What is the issue of longevity? Yeah, देखो, your body can naturally keep producing beta cells, but these beta cells, these stem cells were introduced from outside. What if they get exhausted in 1 year? You'll have to reintroduce these stem cells. So there is this issue of longevity and functionality. Requirement of periodic replenishment to sustain the durability and functional efficiency of beta cell is also under question. Like we may need to, this person right now we are saying that this person is cured of type 1 diabetes, but 6 months down the line it may happen that we may again need to induce stem cells or introduce stem cells because the old stem cells are done, they have got exhausted, they have got finished, and enough new beta cells have not been created. Then individual response variability is another issue. In some people stem cells may be more effective, in others it may not be. Regulatory approval is a challenge. In different countries different regulations exist, and finally it may be a costly affair. Considering the cost and scalability to the population at large, more time may be required to establish stem cell therapy as an accessible, standardized, routine treatment for type 1 diabetes. Right now, it's very expensive. So in India, lakhs of people, there are 8.6 lakh people living with type 1 diabetes. So India के लिए potential of this treatment is huge. But the day-to-day life of a person with type 1 diabetes can be challenging. ये ठीक है. Given these facts, stem cell therapy represent an exciting development in the treatment of T1D, offering a potential for functional cure. But in order to make it really scalable, in order to ensure that it is able to serve lakhs of people, will have to deal with the challenges that we have just discussed. If successful, stem cell therapy could revolutionize the management of type 1 diabetes, moving beyond the insulin replacement to a treatment modality that restores the body's ability to regulate blood glucose naturally and essentially cure the disease. अभी हम insulin therapy regularly दे रहे हैं, that would not be needed when stem cells are able to produce beta cells are able to produce insulin, and thus body can naturally maintain the glucose level and treat the disease. Okay, so this was it for today. I hope last में आप बोर नहीं हो गए हो. लास्ट क्लास तक आते आते ना 8 बजने वाले हैं, 3 घंटे में स्टेम सेल्स समझ में आया, बिकॉज बाकी चीजें क्या है, दे आर अ बिट फैक्चुअल, बट स्टेम सेल्स वाले टॉपिक में यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स, देन कमिंग टू दिस टाइप 1 डायबिटीज थिंग become very easy. So I'll see you next Saturday. Next Saturday अपनी class होगी, but for those students who have joined in the October batch, please understand you have a test every week. So by tomorrow you will be added in a Telegram group and वहाँ पे आपको टेस्ट का शेड्यूल मिल जाएगा. Initially what we are starting with, next week आप सबका किस चीज का टेस्ट होगा? Current affairs में there will be October booklet 1, October booklet 2. These two booklets would be there, but we are also starting with test of polity, इकोनॉमी एंड एथिक्स. इकोनॉमी, पॉलिटी और करंट अफेयर्स से आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट होगा. इकोनॉमी, पॉलिटी और करंट अफेयर्स, इन तीन चीजों से आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट होगा. एंड अभी वी आर नॉट स्टार्टिंग विद इकोनॉमी का सब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट, विल ओनली स्टार्ट विद ऑब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट. सब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट किसका होगा? आपका करंट अफेयर्स, पॉलिटी एंड एथिक्स का. वी विल गिव यू द सिलेबस सो दैट स्टैटिक पोर्शन भी आप पढ़ते रह रहे हो. व्हाट वी वांट टू इंश्योर इज इन नेक्स्ट 5 months you will have subjective test till the end of February. So in next 5 months you are doing all the static portion also, you are revising it 4-5 times. तो हम थोड़ा थोड़ा पोर्शन टेस्ट में डाल के आपको वीकली टेस्ट में वो करवाएंगे, देन मंथली टेस्ट में पूरा रिवाइज करवाएंगे. ऐसे ही वीकली टेस्ट, मंथली टेस्ट, वीकली टेस्ट, मंथली टेस्ट, but then in 3 monthly tests will make you revise everything that you have done in these 3 months. So it will go on like this. Then we'll have a 6 monthly test or a 5 monthly test at the end of February, completing everything in a exhaustive manner. So I'll see you next Saturday. But Sunday को test है, उसका syllabus वगैरह ध्यान से देख लीजिएगा. It will be there in the group by evening tomorrow, and make sure that you are preparing for it. Thank you very much.